I'm completely in disagreement with you when it comes to Nuke's result.
Yeah.
There is one place where, I'll be with you. It feels like outside the Muterus versus Kenzie debate is clear-cut decided. Kenzie is such an incredible rifling talent. It feels like Muterus is going to be really having to pull out every single bit of gray matter that he has in his brain to be able to sort of pull out on top.
Sure.
But the issue that I have over here that comes out is actually, again, Result on the CT side of Aurora. He's playing the upper side with Norway, I do believe, and this is where things can get really weird because Result goes for these aggro pushes into Squeaky or into Hot very, very frequently that will start to be a little bit more predictable. Whenever you look over towards his demos on Nuke, it feels like he's got a nice little pattern that he's trying to follow, but that's the thing with players like Result. When they're finding so much success off of one or two things, you start to see it countered out a little bit more. And in fact, even in the last one or two iterations that they've played Nuke, it feels like Oppers are really trying to watch out for that early Squeaky peak that he likes to go for. And that's where I'm hoping that Story can have a better game as well. Because if Story can start to punish Result a little bit on that T side, Story generally does struggle a bit on that T side of Nuke whenever you're trying to put him into that lobby setup and whatnot as well. So I actually think that Resalt's weakness or predictability could lean into Story's ramp-up period really effectively over here.
But I do think as well, Saw are very like flowchart dependent. They're a team that do like to do things pretty methodically. They like working through their game plan sort of step by step. And in a lot of ways, that can also be read into. I'm not thinking about just single target isolation here. I'm thinking about like the macro picture of how Seoul like to operate, just kind of consistently across their map pool. I will say that in that same vein, Seoul are a more consistent team to rely on these more strategic maps because they are going to be more methodical. Aurora do seem to operate on sort of a laissez-faire, I'm actually kind of feeling this peak, can we try and facilitate something like that? Or Deco might feel confident with his AWP to investigate an area and actually find openers. When I'm thinking about the potentials for both these squads, it's all about like consistency for Seoul and actually getting these clutch rounds together. Because if I had to put them in a head-to-head, Seoul are a much better clutch team than Aurora are. You could put anybody on this squad in a 1 versus 2, and they'd probably pull through for you. Whereas Aurora are far more shaky in that ground. So, I think form-wise, I'd still give it to Aurora, given that they've had a lot more reps as of late, rather than Seoul that are coming in fairly dry coming into this tournament.
I mean, this is where the reps debate starts, and I mean, just to talk about what you were mentioning earlier on as well, though, Sam, is that I think so many people come under the perception of, hey, if you're getting all the reps, if all of your players are playing like 120 hours in the past 2 weeks, you're going to be popping off. And individually, that's true. But it does feel like whenever there's a big shakeup in the map pool, all of the teams that are trying to prioritize reps suffer really badly, especially if they're really heavily reliant on 1 or 2 maps the way Aurora were. So they're going to be struggling trying to get Dust 2 in the board again. They're going to be struggling trying to integrate a couple of different maps over here, trying to re-variegate their first map pick because of the overpass being removed. This is sort of what they need. I don't think that the reps matter as much, actually, in a situation like this. I actually think that could be detrimental rather than be in your favor.
Do you think that they haven't spent enough time doing that thing where you step away from actual competition and playing and focus on just figuring out what your strategy looks like with a change in the map pool, figuring out a little bit more of the analytical side, if you like, T-Sam? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, look, Alexi had an interview with Thorn that was great. I would recommend anyone check it out. He talked a lot about how these teams, he just doesn't understand how they do it. You're playing hundreds of maps in 3-4 months. How are you going to get time to learn something new?
They're robots. That's how they do it. Okay, you know what? We've spoken enough. We've spoken a lot. It is time to get into the first game of the Global Finals. Our casters are ready. So you know what? We're going to rest our voices and let them shout a little bit at you.
Thank you very much, Sam. Guys, great listening to you. And, some great real points there, Ted, to be honest. We're looking forward to this game. It's very, very exciting to be involved once again. How are you feeling going into this matchup, though?
Well, fairly excited. That was a pretty prolonged intro there from the trio at the desk, right? A lot of things to talk about. Obviously, we're having a bit of a slight delay, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, as we pointed out, it's been quite a while since the entire CCT circuit started, right? A couple of years ago. You're looking at over a little bit over 2 years of Counter-Strike. You're looking at over 48 online tournaments and a couple global, a couple regional finals as well. So over 50 tournaments, and it all comes down to this. So yeah, of course I'm gonna be excited. A couple good games on offer, and one thing that we didn't mention is the fact that throughout this entire day, is going to be just Group A, right? So there's not going to be any time for slacking, right? If you're slacking off in your opening game, then you're playing for elimination later on today, so you could be going out of the tournament straight away.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get that mental in check pretty quickly if it goes all horribly wrong. Of course, we've got Nuke as our first map coming up. Dust 2 was a little bit of a surprise, to be honest. I'm excited to see that one as well, especially, you know, when we're looking at Deco, you know, back in 2021. I think he was the highest rated player on Dust 2 across a ridiculous 40 plus maps or something like that. So I'm really excited to see, you know, what they can bring to the table when we move over onto that second map. But I don't think Nuke is as nailed on, really, as you would expect, because Saw, in my humble opinion, to be honest, I think they've looked a little bit shaky at times.
Well, they have been shaky, yeah, but I guess there's the other perspective that you can take. It depends on which angle you want to take. If you look at their EPL tenure, which obviously wasn't the biggest success ever because they couldn't even get out of groups, right? But the fact that the 2 best of 3s that they won, they picked into Nuke, and both times they were able to dominate it, right? Winning against single digits, not even allowing their opponents to get over 5 rounds. You're looking at 2 really comfortable recent victories on this map, which, in contrast to the entire, I guess, lack of, well, as we said, it's a different approach, so you're not going to get the same sample size for a team like Seoul than the one that you're going to get for Aurora, for example. They don't play as many tournaments, but you look at some of the shaky results recently. Nuke is one of the few maps on which I can safely put my money on expecting Seoul to play proper Counter-Strike. One thing that I guess they made a really good point at the desk as well was the fact that you're looking at 2 really different teams. On one hand, you have Seoul, who I think for a year and a half now, or 2 years maybe, you could make a case for them being one of the best T-side and anti-strat and prep teams in the tier 2 space, right? With the work that they're doing. So that's the reason you're seeing them being so comfortable on maps like Nuke, right? And then on the other side, you have an Aurora team that's playing a bit more Freedom-esque style of Counter-Strike, where Lucky's trying to utilize his pieces and, as they pointed out again on the desk, give people like Result, like Norway, like Kenzie, for sure, a little bit of space to work with. So yeah, going into Nuke, I feel like for Seoul, it could be a story of 1 or nothing, really. If you make it work on Dust, or if you make it work on Nuke, sorry, I truthfully believe that you can put up a fight to Aurora on Dust too. But if Nuke falls apart for Seoul, then I feel like you're in deep water. But yeah, I do believe that on paper we should be expecting Seoul to play a good game of Counter-Strike and be able to, I guess, get their map pick.
Yeah, see, I'm going the other way. I'm leaning a little bit towards Aurora here. I honestly think, you know, especially they'll get that CT start on Nuke, you know,
Sure.
Deco, it's one of his favourite maps, man. I'm just saying, look, he's going to be delighted that Dust 2 is back in the pool as well. I just cannot wait.
Oh no, we
to
can
see
say
what
that
it
for free,
brings.
by the way. The fact that Aurora yesterday lost to Spirit doesn't mean a thing, because you lose to another CAS team on Dust 2. All CAS teams are incredibly happy that Dust 2 is back in the map pool.
Well, underway with this pistol, and Aurora are going to try and get going early, but Result walks right into Aristos, and that is a big problem now as the AU bomb site becomes just that little bit weaker. But Saw trying to hold on and fend off this lobby crunch. It's not going to happen. They swap positions out onto the site, and that's all they were after. They're going to get this bomb down, and Ujerks is just going to shut Aurora away, straight away. And Saw will get the ball rolling on that T side, which could be very detrimental to Aurora's beginnings.
Yeah, you know what I've noticed, by the way? Recently, a lot of people have been starting to call those extremely aggressive pistol rounds on the CT side, where you try and get in towards squeaking in towards HUD and go for the double push. Well, it doesn't work out this time around, though. So with a great counter, they even get a bomb plan out of it. In the end of the day, I felt like they got the money bonus. So yeah, things are looking good for them. Pistol round under their belt, forced by straight away, by the way, from Aurora. So pretty aggressive in managing their economy early on. Don't want to let Saul run away with too many rounds on the T side, but well, running away with a round I don't know about. They are running into our secret, though. That's an incredibly quick walk down there. Minute 30, you already have players down there. Rotations need to be extremely fast for Aurora.
SMGs want to get up close and in your face, and Norway might be able to do a whole lot of damage with it. This has worked out perfectly. Those fast rotations playing dividends right now as Saw are just being cut apart. And Roman left scratching his head, still pretty much in spawn, going, where Where the hell have my team gone?
Yeah, I mean, they're all down. 6 feet under. Pretty surprised that they go for that type of a quick round, to be fair. A straight up round from a team like So. On a T side, second round as well. Not something that you see every day of the week, and it doesn't really pay dividends. Result will shut down Roman. It's a lovely sequence from him. Make that a double, one with the pistol, one with the rifle. Aurora answer back immediately. And that's a pretty vocal testament to what to expect out of this game, right? We want to see competitive Counter-Strike right now. And the fact that Aurora decide to go for the force buy straight away might have caught So a little bit off guard with that investment. And yeah, I mean, they make it work. It's a pretty high risk, high reward investment. I want to say, because if it doesn't work out, then you're automatically giving away 3 rounds to the T side early doors, which we know could spiral out and end up being a really successful T side. You don't really need to have 8-9 rounds on T side. You need to feel comfortable with it. So getting a 3-0 start is great, but now the CT's in a position to keep them at bay. That is, unless Jerks gets fired up and starts hitting shots like that. Thankfully, Deco's there to put him to sleep.
That was ridiculous. The Eagle. I mean, Deco is in a decent position to deal with any wraps that are going to be happening, but Saw are going to be able to recover a rifle at least, and it's still a pretty scary round for Aurora. They've only spotted really one player. This secret walk has been completely silent. The adjustment is Lackey going down towards B, so they'll have at least one player below ground, but they're going to need to rely once again on those really quick rotations.
Yeah, and rotations were really quick in the previous round, but this time it's a little bit different. The T's have paused it down, and you need someone to get proactive in towards the lobby extremities right now. Push in towards Squeaky, push in towards HUD, push in towards the ramp. You need to get some information and support Lackey quickly, and they're already thinking about it in a way. Deco's edging his way closer, and that's going to make the setup much more valuable here for the CT side. So taking their time. This is going to be an extremely late play, but that's given enough time to the CTs to get comfortable. Deco gets himself into a great position.
Players above and below the site just trying to lock this one down. The util could make it a little bit difficult though. As they come out on the approach a single, they will get this bomb plant down, and Deco has decided not to play at all. He hasn't really been given an opportunity to find a frag. Now this might be completely overlooked by the T's as they try and get into comfortable spots themselves, nestle into some hidey holes and hope maybe that they can catch Aurora off guard. Deco already just creeping his way forward, has cleared all of the site pretty much on his own, but they need to find these kills here and get on this defuse. There's 2 kits in play, but one of them needs to at least tap the bomb to put a little bit of pressure on. Aristos, a nice headshot, makes the job a whole lot easier for the rest of his teammates as Story tries to take point next, but it's Roman with the rifle, maybe to seal the deal. He's the closer that was sent in to do it all, set up for success, and he will have it.
Oh, this is so uncomfortable right now for Aurora. That was such a good stance as well towards the B-bomb side. They read into the situation. You have 2 rifles, one playing in towards the rafters of the B-bomb side, the other one in towards dark. You feel like the crossfire should be good enough, but Deco just doesn't get given a fight early on. They get the refrag 1-for-1 onto Lackey, and from that point on, the bomb side falls down, and you can see it was so difficult to make it work with the low HP and without a smoke for the bomb, without a Molotov for decon. One piece of util could have changed it all. So answer back immediately, and you know, I wanted to praise Aurora for going for the force buy and winning it, but when you lose your conversion then, you're in deep water. You're in deep trouble. You have 3 rifles that you were able to hold on to, well, you were able to purchase, and you have an MP9 and a Deagle. Utility that was going to be extremely light, not a single defuse kit in the equation, and if you lose it here, so could be getting away with a 4-1 lead, which, again, coming back to the point that we made at the start of the game,
It's quite the opposite of what you're hoping for on a CT side start on you.
Yeah, but this is looking quite good from Lackey. He's done a lot of damage and stopped them for now, but they will just explode out towards that ramp, and Deco will wave that piece of the puzzle goodbye. Kenzie in a little bit of trouble here. He's feeling all kinds of pressure in terms of util and weaponry, but Kenzie, a great deagle shot, a good tag, and this one isn't as cut and dry maybe as we thought.
No, he's made it so doable. Aristos is low on HP, Jerks is around the 50 HP mark, same for Materials. They don't have a kid though, so gotta be really quick.
Gotta go fast. Smoke off double. 2 players in towards control, and Nori will deal with the first. Needs to just refrag out his teammate. Ujerk's doing a really good job of holding on. It cost him a lot of his health points, but he is still standing, and now he stands alone. Aristos taken out And Deco trying to just play around, but there is not enough time. No kit, lack of defuse, as we pointed out earlier. And New Jerks will win this one by default, but that was a fantastic double there. Just making sure that they held on to all the control. If not, Aristos would have been solo on the site with literally nowhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, commending Aurora that they're still able to make it that close, by the way. And in that situation, unless Ujerks finds the double kill, this round is pretty much going astray. And again, one thing that I wanted to highlight, and this is something that you would expect from a team like Saw, but interestingly enough, we're looking at a game in which we have the map picks being the two most reactive maps in the pool, right? You're looking at Nuke, you're looking at those two maps in which your main focus is to react as quickly as possible to what the enemy team is throwing at you, the moves that they're making around the map, your decisions, and not only the decision, but how quickly you can make them is what makes the difference between a successful team and a team that's got a good idea but not able to execute it, right? So far, we've seen great adaptation from Saw. In the previous round, realizing exactly how much space they've given away to Aurora, just instantly scaling up the B bomb side, and we've seen a pretty big contrast so far, right? They take their time when they know that they haven't provided too many options to Aurora, and then in the meantime, whenever they want to go for a round that's a bit more pack orientated, right, where you have the majority of your players on one part of the map, you're playing a lot quicker because you realize that you're playing against a team that will probably try and look for space. You're playing against an extremely proactive bunch of players, and it's not only because of the map, but especially on a map like Nuke on the CT side, you'd expect Aurora to try and get a lot of space, get a lot of information. The lobby pushes, as Yumi and T-Time mentioned, quite a regular thing coming in from that CT side. So good reactive counter-strike from the T's. This is really expensive for a full eco though. I was trying to look over it, but able to find a decent amount of kills. Norway is cosplaying the Matrix, finally going down.
Trying to just lurk in the shadows in the smoke. And 2 kills is all they will come away with in that full eco, but they are going to be back onto a buy. And it's been a messy start in terms of, you know, we haven't really seen too many gun rounds at all. It's just been kind of force buy after force buy after force buy. Now, hopefully, we will see this first half stabilize a little bit. We'll see what they can do. Still no AWP just yet for the likes of Deco. None on the side of Saw just yet. Money hasn't really been in that situation where they can afford it.
Yeah, and that's a big issue for the CTs, right? When you have those force buy exchanges, you want to get Deco on an AVP as soon as possible. We know how high his impact is for the team, and especially on the CT side of a map like Nuke. So a bit unfortunate, but you got to make it work with the rifles for now.
Silent approach here from Saw as they will throw the diagonal smokes and maybe try and make their way down now. I believe Lackey is already in secret, so he'll be spotting nothing going with these smokes if he decides to go for a peek, which will just make Aurora batten down the hatches a little bit on the bomb sites and over towards ramp. Deco doesn't really have a fast rotation here, so he could be in a little bit of trouble, but he's done a great job stopping the first and nearly found a second.
Yeah, a lot of damage. Kenzie needs to make sure he doesn't go down, though. Get spotted out and not ready for the player up close. And now this is a big issue. Even though you're able to do a whole lot of damage to ours, those. You've lost one more and you have just one rotation down that B-bomb site. You're still thinking about the possibility of a heaven flank in towards A. So Lack is going to be all alone. And he needs to get proactive this fight as everything. Roman wins it. This round is over. You got to save.
Yeah, Saw doing a really good job there. Even with Aurora having a rough idea of what was going on, they just sheerly couldn't stop it.
You know what it feels like?
Getting outnumbered.
It's one of those games in which you just feel like Aurora are not able to start their CT side, right? Which is an interesting thing to say considering they forced second round and they made it work, but it's the only round they've been able to pick up ever since. It's felt like an extremely uncomfortable game for Aurora. And obviously this is, I guess, credit to Saul for making it such. And it hasn't been competitive. Not whatsoever. And from that point on, if you're Saul, you're going to try and keep it up for as long as possible. But even if Aurora were to start winning rounds now, and even if they were to win every single round until the end of the half, Saul already have 5 on the T side. This is a dream start.
It really is. And Saw, to me, they're always one of those teams that you would probably hate to play against because they are so well drilled. I mean, Michael put it great, you know, that they are very flowchart dependent in terms of they have nearly every possibility and a reaction to its set. So, you know, if A happens, do B, and keep moving that way, which can make it difficult, especially, you know, for a side like Aurora, who do like to overcommit a little bit sometimes. You know, they do like to just go and take straight up fights, but sometimes they just won't give you exactly what you want, and then by the time they do give you exactly what you want, it's too little too late. This lobby crunch is going to discover pretty much nothing but the information that lobby is completely clean, but that might lure you into a little bit of a false sense of security. Lackey's been spotted. Roman tickling his feet a little bit, but no fatality just yet.
Yeah, that's a lot of information right now. Even though you don't get the kill, you know there's a player in towards T roof. You know the lobby crunch happened and they cleared it out. So now people are going to be looking for him. That becomes extremely uncomfortable, and it makes the entirety of the Aurora squad feel uncomfortable as well. So having to go for aggressive moves, and Story was waiting for that. Gets a double. Lucky's on the timer right now. Actually, does manage to land the dink, but Roman is going to deal with him. So just freeze. Wait it out, looking really compact right now on that T side. Norway, with a rifle in hand though, and he's found a double. Don't make him get a triple. All right. Finally, the refrag comes in. There was a little bit of chance there, maybe if he gets an insta headshot on the third player, but Deku's been left all alone. He's picked up an AK and it's a 1v2. Issue is he's not in towards the correct bomb side. No kit, only a flash, but he's got armor, so he's gonna give this one a go. You better believe.
He's definitely not making any secrets about his intentions at all. Going quite quickly, making as much noise as possible, but once again, Saw just not going to give you anything in that scenario. They don't need to. They've got the round in the palm of their hands and they intend to keep it there. 6-1 lead for Saw, and Aurora, I mean, they really need to get going quite quickly. You can see they are kind of struggling to gather that information towards outside. The smokes that Saw are throwing there don't really have too much set up to really deal with them. They do rely on Deco a lot to go for those aggressive fights early on with AWPs, try and find the fights, but I still don't think he's got enough in the bank. He might have to risk it a little bit.
That was the first one. That's the first round we're seeing Deco on an open. It's round number 8. And that is just, I mean, that's credit to how good of a job Saw have been doing. And as you pointed out, if you're Aurora so far, you feel like you've just been getting the information that Saw allows you to get, right? You're not getting anything that they're not accounting for. So now having Deco on the AVP, that should be the big change.
Big change is on the approach. They're just going to sprint out and switch up the tempo completely, and this is something that Aurora just simply aren't ready for. Lackey tries to pull this one out of the fire, but it's so difficult, especially with the amount of damage and util that he is receiving. And Deco, you might have an AWP, but you've got no teammates left, and you didn't even get a chance to play it around. What a call from Saw, and it might just get a whole lot better in a moment.
Yeah. I think Story's seen him. Yeah, now he's seen him 100%. You know what you're going for. You're not gonna... Oh, he's not going for a knife, is he? Okay, right. Execution. He might have been thinking about it, but out of the equation. What a call that is from Saul, by the way. That's been an impossible game to get into if you're Aurora. You're waiting for such a long time, and yeah, spot on. It is about the right time to go for a tactical timeout. You've been waiting for such a long time to put Deco on an AVP, to have everybody else on full util with the rifles, finally be able to play a quote-unquote comfortable round of Counter-Strike, right? Potentially start to find your grasp within that CT side. And then Saw just go for a really intense pop out of the A-bomb side. We see the Vitality chained up 4 flashes coming in from T-Roof. It's nearly impossible to play against that, and it's such a high-paced round. It never allows Aurora to get comfortable, and that has been the issue so far for this entire CT side. It just feels like Saw have done a great job of not allowing their opponents to feel like they're on the map. This is the best start possible. And it feels like it's been a pretty good team game. Of course, Arizos and Roman up on the scoreboard with 10-4 and 9-2 respectively, but it feels like everyone's doing their job. Materials doesn't really need to find a lot of kills quantity-wise, as long as his teammates are playing the type of Counter-Strike they are, and this is another half buy for Aurora. We could be looking at an 8-1, quite realistically here, and this is T-side nuke.
Yeah, but Aurora have been making these rounds quite close, so it's just something that Saw need to be a little bit wary of, that these rounds are still a big danger, and nothing is going to be given up for free. You can already see that Lackey wanted to get aggressive. Might go for a reface here where Roman might be in a little bit more trouble, trying to maybe bait him into that SMG in Norway. But you can see how tentative they're being here in a round like this, that they are terrified of what might be lurking around every single corner.
Yeah, if you're Saul right now, you realize you have the game under a lock and key, right? The only way that things go out of control is if a big disturbance comes in, if a spanner gets thrown into the works, and a spanner might be losing around to the pistols. First kill goes in favor of the 5-7, of course. Utrix was extremely low on HP, so an easy refrag, but into the M4 they go, and Deco won't be an easy one. He needs a multi-kill out of this, doesn't get a single one though. Story and Arrows though just go into the bomb side as if it's their own home.
I mean, it has been their home. I mean, nobody's really kept them out of it. Anytime they want to go there, they just walk right in. The door seems to be unlocked, and they take what's theirs.
Yeah, that's been a great showing. That's what you'd expect from Saw. And going back to the point, by the way, the thing that we mentioned before the start of this, you're looking at, if you want to chunk in recency bias, and obviously looking at the numbers is not my favorite thing either. When you look at the win rate on Nuke, it doesn't look that great. But you look at EPL, it's just a big contrast between the level of comfort that we see from Saw on a map like Nuke and then every other map in the pool, right? You're looking at the 13-4 win against Imperial, the 13-3 win against Eternal Fire, and I want to stress that out. Eternal Fire is a goddamn good-ass team on Nuke, right? So when you're dominating Eternal Fire on Nuke, it means that you're doing something right. And in a tournament that all in all was not the most, I guess, successful one for both teams, the fact that so we're able to play that type of Counter-Strike, it just shows what's going on. And look at that, once again, the tempo's so quick.
Yeah, but this time Aurora have a little bit of success. They managed to stop the bleeding on the site and get the plasters in place. Now, this is where it could get a little bit hairy for Salt. They're on the back foot. Rezel has got a lot of information. That flash is perfect. Catches Aristos right between the eyes, completely blind, and he is just going to be felled. But Story is not going to give up on this round just yet. Needs to be careful. Deco holding from behind, and he's going to miss that first op shot. Oh, this is all about timing. Didn't catch a glimpse of the knee, and Deco will just walk him down. Finally, we see a little bit of success for Aurora with the guns.
Yeah, even the way that Deco's chasing down Utrix there with the AVP, it just shows you that they realize they need to take a little bit of chance now if they want to start picking up rounds, right? And still the fact that in the 2v4 you're able to find 2 kills and keep the CT side economy honest is big for Sol. They go for their first tactical timeout straight away. Getting back to the point, by the way, the point that the desk made about Sol not having a coach anymore, I think they made another really good addition to that. The fact that you have an analyst, and the fact that Sol throughout that entire, I guess, 4-year tenure of Mutiras and Roman being a part of the team, they've always been a really good team when it comes down to preparation. Most of the time, if things are going to plan in the buy rounds, they're really good with their reactions. They're really good at following up with the correct decision after X event occurs in the server, right? So the main issue with them has been coming out with solutions as the game is going on. And that wasn't something that, if something goes wrong, that is, of course. And that is not something that felt like they were able to do even when they had a coach on the team. So I completely feel like you having people like Mutiras, like Roman, and the analysts to help with the prep should be good enough for you to not really feel like you've lost too much. And that is, of course, without disrespecting the work of a coach, because we know that this is it's a pretty difficult thing to do nowadays with how much prep everyone's doing.
Very difficult to keep on top of for sure. This is going to get a little bit awkward here for Lackey. He's got the rotation of Deco. Saw going to try and abuse this ramp position once again, and Deco another wayward shot. Yeah, they know the op's here, and they're just going to run him down. They pop right on through, and they take what's theirs once again. Saw have one problem, Ted, and that's they're suffering from success.
Yeah, also, they're allergic to sweet rice as of right now, and for those of you that didn't know, this is what Aristos means in Portuguese. It means sweet rice, man. Forget about what I said about the team looking strong. Now you have a new nightmare in the server, and that nightmare is called Aristos. The fact that the spacing is good, the fact that the idea, the call is great, this is one thing. But the fact that Aristos just runs into the ramp and finds both kills, instant headshots, and as you pointed out, we've seen a couple of wayward shots from Deco now, and this is not going to be great for his confidence, obviously, early on. This is not your map pick. It's obviously not one to get overly stressed about, but going into a Dust 2, which is really AWP heavy, and you need your individuals to be in check, the fact that you're getting pretty much run over right now by So. It's not going to do bits for your confidence. We're looking at 9 rounds on the T side of Nuke right now, potentially double digits at the end of this. At least Kenzie, Norby, and Result will be able to hold on to whatever they have. Kenzie's going to be able to drop over an M4. Result the same. So you will have rifles going into the final round of that first half. But so far, so good for So. That's been extremely impressive.
This is not a scoreline that I thought we were going to see on Nuke. Not in the slightest, especially with Saw starting out on this T side, but they just have not let Aurora play at all. And it's almost like they're always 2 steps behind. Well, Roman, he's 2 steps ahead. He's already in that A bomb site, already doing damage, and already stressing Aurora to the max. Norway doesn't have any rotations. He's stuck on default and praying somebody gets to him quickly. The HE is going to take him down just below half HP, and the site completely lost now. The Heaven rotates were too little too late, and the round might just be cooked here and then.
Yeah, it could be, and Deku goes down in towards outside in the meantime, so now both your players need to be coming in from Heaven unless Lackey wins that fight, and he's already been tagged down. How do you find a way back into the round? Short answer, you don't.
Lackey gonna try and run down Materis. He's just playing the games with him right now, just dancing around the red box, and he'll even take his head off. The jiggle is there, and he knows he doesn't need to commit.
The fight in a 4v1. Look at Materis being the most nerdy person in the server, and that's just making it worse right now for Kenzie.
And eventually, when he takes it, he wins it. So absolutely dismantled that CT side of Aurora, and that's one that will really rattle your mentality if you're not careful, Ted. I mean, how do you come back from that? Because for the majority of that half, it looked so hopeless, nearly at all times.
I wanna focus more on praising Soul's nuke, by the way. Their nuke is so up to date with everything that every team on tier 1 does. A lot of the niche things that some of the best nuke teams in tier 2 do as well, right? That previous round, we saw the triple molly and the smoke that falls in towards Brolan, and you're trying to edge your way around the Molotov and the smoke around it. That's a play that 9 came up with, the Polish team, right? And we remember that even back in the day, obviously it's a different iteration, but 9 back in the day was one of the best nuke teams, even in the world at times, right? With coming up with new stuff. So now you're looking at Soul just throwing in everything that's meta, so to speak, everything that works, and it's been extremely difficult for Aurora to adapt, and Aristos is hitting some banger shots.
Late pop out towards that A bomb site, tried to fake it out. Materis awaiting anybody dropping down the vent, but Aurora seem pretty content with staying above ground right now. Materis is going to have to try and catch a timing, which he has. Norway's going to go down in the back. That HG's going to do a lot of damage. Materis stepping it up massively. The leader leading Saw all the way, it would seem, as they look to put the finishing touches on Nuke.
Yeah, anybody want to say something about the individual level of the captain right now? Materis, what a quad K that is. And this is just insult to injury. This map is so over. When you see Materis just walk up the vent and get a 4K like that, clean shots as well. Look at that. That was absolutely beautiful. I mean, the opening kills are good. You stand towards the A bomb side, but then look at that from Materis. Goes out. Clean shot on the first one, instant headshot onto Kenzie. He doesn't let them realize what's going on until he's gotten a double kill already, and then the third and fourth, that was just him styling on them. Of course, the bomb plant will guarantee a forest buy, and at this point, you don't really have a choice. You're down 2-11, but it feels like everything's just working out for So. Story's on 6 and 7. He doesn't need to get more than 6 kills for his team to dominate, and this is crazy.
Still though, bomb plant, of course, is going to facilitate a force buy. This is going to facilitate a little bit of a ramp play, but Story with that AWP second round.
Materis is the best teammate in the world, by the way.
Finds those 4 kills and drops over and up. What a guy.
Yep.
What a guy. And it was something that the T's definitely weren't expecting. They're just being battered here on Nuke. And Deku and Kenzie will try their best to get themselves back into this round, but in a 5v2, what can you really do? And I mean, the Scout's big brother is going to show him that age is what it's all about. Kenzie, it's only a matter of time. Look at the amount of players that are just converging on him, and he is absolutely nowhere to go but those two, it would seem.
Yeah, you asked me at the start of the half, how do you bounce back mentally from it? I was gonna go into my little story about potentially winning 5-6 rounds on the T side and then ending up losing the map, because I think a comeback would have been a little bit far-fetched, but the fact that you're not even able to make it competitive on the back of Mutiris, on the back of Diop now getting a triple kill, this is just a back-breaking loss for Aurora right now, and the only way to keep on going feels like just pretend that it never happened. Just try and forget about this map, because this has been so and so only.
Pretend that it never happened would be great advice. I don't know if they're going to be able to wipe this one from their memories, though, for quite some time. But still, they've got chances. It's not completely out of the question, but it is looking very unlikely. It was a good opener. Aristos now going with Roman to maybe get aggressive in towards the lobby. Kenzie trying to take a little bit of a risk here. The risk pays off because they might just have a bomb site out of this. And Aurora maybe can get a bomb plant, stabilize, and maybe just pick up a few more rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not too late to at least feel like you had something to offer on that T side, right?
Win a couple rounds, try and make it a bit more complicated for Saul before they take us to a dust to at least make them work a little bit for it. Of course, you don't want to be giving yourselves away. Not that they would attempt that retake, but it's more of a money policy right now for Aurora's. Their economy is not great, even though they're about to pick up around here on the T side. So you get a third on the board.
I would guess it's not really going to change how the 1x bet odds are looking right now. And if I had to take a wild guess, I'd say that they're pretty heavy in towards Saw. Of course, if you wanna capitalize on those, you can head over to 1x bet. We have a CCT code as well for you that you can use and get up to 130 euros of bonus. But of course, make sure you're being responsible with it. And speaking of which, responsible opening cases as well. But if you want to go and participate in a giveaway where you don't really have to be responsible when you sign up to, because it's, yeah, I mean, it's a giveaway. It's supposed to be free. So go over to Hellcase, check it out. You can win some cool skins. I wonder if Aurora can win anything cool until the end of this. I mean, a couple more rounds would be nice, but yeah, at this point, as we pointed out, it's all about the sweat for So, and if you're going to be able to make them feel it until the end of this.
Mutiris in such an aggressive position outside that those smokes really aren't going to accomplish all that much. Now, once again, Aurora are going to look to lean towards the ramp, which will be a little troublesome situation for you jerks if they decide to act on it.
Stories there with Diop, though. It's a great read into the situation. Mutiris' aggressive position in towards outside is granting them all that information. They're going to be ready.
Story spotted out. Oh, they nearly line up for him. He does a lot of damage to the second, but he will only claim one. But still, Aurora look trapped, and they have to go back. Even with that kill, they cannot just run straight into you jerks. He will lock in the round for certain, but where can you really go? You've got 55 seconds. You're relying on Kenzie to find some impact towards outside, but if he goes down, then they really have a problem on their hands. And I mean, Result could have a massive problem coming to him in just a moment. Saw look to get aggressive in towards the hut. Luckily for him, they don't push any further.
Yeah, and this is a really difficult situation right now for Aurora, right? You're hoping the CTs give you something to work with, but all that they're giving you right now is pushing towards the lobby, and this is not the one that you want. Roman pre-fires Result, and that means that you have no plan B anymore. You need to go down into towards the B bomb side, and you need to be quick. There's not enough time left, and Ujerks is still here.
Above the site, ready to deny. One bullet is all he needs, and he will connect on it. There's just not enough time for Kenzie to get a bomb plant down, and he will be put out of his misery. And that was all it was on Nuke for Aurora. Simply misery, Ted. It's going to take a lot to bounce back from that one, but it is desperate times for the CIS squad.
Yeah, it is desperate times, right? That's not what we expected. We expected a good showing from Saul, but maybe not to that extent. That was incredible. But you know what else is incredible? The people that we have over at the desk. So me and Jack are not gonna keep on giving you our opinion on what went on. I'm looking forward to seeing what they think about this, though, because yeah, I mean, that was a blowout and a half.
Ted was so nice. That was a little bit weird for me. Not sure how I feel about it. I need to change that. We need some little zingers going between us. Okay, here's the thing. We come in here, Aurora, I get this. It's early. It's early in the day. For most of us gamers, we don't wake up at this time. Here we are. They just didn't get out of bed, Yumi. It felt like they hadn't woken up yet. They were still rubbing the sleep out of their eyes.
Yeah, I'd like to issue an apology to Aurora, because I wasn't really familiar with their game, and just how poorly that nuke was going to end up transpiring. You know, that was something that Tea Time actually brought up on the desk, is the idea that, you know, there were some vulnerabilities on that CT side for Aurora, but at the same time, I would thought some of that might have just been teething issues. You know, they have undergone a bit of a roster move. There is also a little bit of instability in terms of who's taking initiative. But, man, some of these holds for Aurora were just honestly awful, and kind of all credit to Muterus for his exceptional calling, targeting that weakness, and then when Aurora moved to reinforce that, then they suddenly started hitting ramp and outside. You know, they're exploiting other areas that were less reinforced as well.
Listen, I need you to stop talking about the game for a second, Michael, and to start talking more about how I was right for once. Listen, you guys, you need to remember, I don't get these wins very often, alright? And the fact of the matter is, I said it, man, Result and Norby can't hold that A side, unfortunately. They got foam fingers when it comes down to that. Their pockets kept getting picked over there, and sure, there are adjustments, there's there's that. Then you got Roman clutches. Alright, Michael, you got that one right, but, you know, all I'm saying is, I've got my ticker board up, and I'm up for now. I know it probably won't be for long, but I'll take my wins when I can get them.
Yeah, the angle of Soul actually being able to clutch a lot of rounds didn't matter, because they were very rarely in clutch round situations, actually, so.
Tea Time, I know you're getting excited there, but I mean, did you even think it was going to be this much of a stop? Because I don't think any of us saw Aurora just not being able to get rounds on the board.
Oh, no, I definitely didn't think it would be this bad, but honestly, Michael, I mean, I heard your reaction when you were looking at this round as well. I know you want to talk about this too a little bit more, but you know what? Actually, that round, it's a little bit hard to watch, and it's, you know, hard to watch for you.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 3 players in proximity to this A bomb site. Result's trying to nade the smoke. Nori is at the back of the site, like, not watching Hut when they just smoked it off as well. You know, these are plays that just show that Aurora were just totally off rhythm with what Soul were offering up, because it's a very normal looking execute from Soul's point of view, and Aurora just caught in their own individual playmaking things that didn't even seem like there were comms happening between the site players. Like, I don't even think they realized that Hut got smoked off and that they were actually starting to charge into that A bomb site before they started getting shot in the head.
Let's give credit to Saw though. I mean, we're talking about how Aurora didn't show up. Saw has a fantastic nuke. I mean, our casters said it as well, but Tea Time, they had a good plan. They executed their plan. They read the game very well. They read Aurora very well. They did what I thought they couldn't do without a coach quite easily.
I mean, listen, very frankly, Ara's Rush comes through, looks incredible over there. And I know I talked about their weaknesses, about how sometimes it does feel like no one but Ara's Rush and you jerks can win these opening duels. But right now, all of them could. This was a great individual glow-up across the board, but Ara's Rush was opening up bomb sites like it was nobody's business. Even Roman was coming into play, and Roman's generally the guy who we look to and say, yeah, this guy's kind of a low fragger, but he's going to come be good for 1 or 2 good clutches per game. And that's what makes up for it, along with the veteran presence in a practice environment. And yeah, I mean, it got to a point where even Muterus starts coming out, and look at this. He just fully strafes up through the vent, pops out. It's an easy kill or 2. Comes through, you're thinking, okay, that's going to be all. He's going to wait for those Heaven players to come in. He doesn't wait for anything. It's just a straight 4-man guillotine.
Yeah, and he waited in those vents for ages, expecting someone maybe even to, like, divert down to the lower side, try and get a cheeky knife, and instead nobody ends up watching those vents whatsoever for the Aurora side, and they get immediately punished for it. You know, they were totally off the mark when it came to this nuke. I don't think they came in fully focused. I don't think they hit a good stride at all. I thought there were moments in this game where they could have potentially turned that momentum back into their favor, but Soul were all over them. And yeah, I think Muterus and, I mean, honestly, the stars of Soul showed up at the start of this game, where I had doubts about how hot a trot they'd bring into this series.
So Yumi, you said it there. There were moments where they could have turned it in their favor, and for some reason they just didn't. Where did Aurora miss the mark? There were a couple of moments where they were still at man deficits. Like, they were losing opening engagements pretty frequently, but even in their man deficits, there was a chance for a multi-kill. I think there was a spot for, I want to say Norway, that, you know, you look at the position that he holds and how integral it is to the round, and, you know, those are the types of
frags that, you know, sometimes Aurora do get away with, you know, these potential playmaking routes that just don't materialize, unfortunately. I just don't think Aurora could actually have any luck fall their way as well.
But also, Michael, there are these things where we look at things from, you know, the outside perspective and saying, oh, hey, you know, if he just didn't have the nade in his hand, if he had a gun out and everything, some of these mistakes do seem very simple, and you're assuming that it's going to be fine if they don't make them. But it's also just such a sign of an underlying problem that is looking to be worrying in Aurora that I'm getting kind of worried about the next map for them as well, if this is going to be what's going to be coming out from them in terms of communication issues, in terms of being caught off guard so often.
Yeah, it's one of those great fallacies about people getting timinged in Counter-Strike as well. It's like you're opening yourself up to those timings by juggling angles or constantly having to worry about multiple possibilities. That is, I guess you are right, you know, that is a symptom of like an underlying problem that there was no one able to actually play together. They weren't ever working in pairs on that CT side, I don't think once, which is a massive concern. I do agree. Going into that Dust 2 that I actually thought looked okay against Spirit. You know, even though they were getting out-firepowered and out-maneuvered, I thought the way that they were building rounds versus Spirit on that one Dust 2 actually looked pretty promising. So I have higher hopes, but not in this Aurora form, I guess.
I think that's the concern, right? Is that we're going into their map pick, but they just to not even get more than like 3 rounds on the board, you start to worry, especially because we saw them lose a couple of days ago. A little bit of a confidence knock, maybe. Obviously, with Dust 2 new to the map pool though, T-Time, so we don't really know how Soul's going to play out on this, right?
Oh, we've got no idea whatsoever. All we're assuming is that they're going to be taking some of this confidence into the next map, and we're hoping that we get some similar stuff from Roman and whatnot, but I really would want to see Story fully activated there.
So now that you've seen one game for both of these teams, I hate doing predictions. So let's not call this predictions. Let's just call this a little bit of thoughts. You know, like I always like to have a bit of banter with my friends before. So I don't want to call you on a prediction per se. But do you think Aurora wakes up on Dust 2 T-Time, or is the Source one for the taking?
I'm sure they'll wake up because especially Deco didn't look like he got that much action over here on Nuke, and it's almost impossible not to get action as Deco on Dust 2, and I think that could be a really big difference maker. They'll wake up, but that doesn't mean that Saul is going to be putting themselves to sleep anytime soon either.
I have to believe that they will actually wake up and that the issues that they had versus Spirit aren't going to materialize here again.
It's the CCT Global Finals, the first game of our group stages. It is Saw up against Aurora. Currently, Saw has got the first map in this best of 3, but we now move on to Aurora's pick. It is Dust 2. We're going to take a quick reset so that you can run back to spawn and get some drinks, and when we return, we're jumping straight into game.
victories with 1xbet.
Pick and live. Make your choice. Play begins and get your prize.
Welcome back, folks, to the CCT Global Finals. Don't worry, if you feel like you've missed some of the action and you're just joining in, well, this is the same feeling that Aurora have in their heads after map number 1. So, absolutely dominating the hell out of the Aurora on their own map pick of Nuke in the Group A opening matchup, Jack. And it is something that not all of us expected. Probably we expected a good showing from the Portuguese side, but not up to that extent. And now as Dust 2 is coming out, I mean, at the start of the series, it was supposed to be a clean cut that Aurora should be the better team when it comes down to Dust 2. But even though I don't want to be that basic guy that just says momentum and doesn't give any context to it, I mean, at this point, after getting that amount of rounds on map 1 and after Soul just completely running over you, you gotta be feeling a little bit worried for Aurora's chances to bounce back mentally going into that second map, right?
Oh, it's going to take a lot, man. You know, I don't underestimate that in the slightest. That is a very disappointing loss to be on the receiving end of, especially when it's a map that it might not be, you know, on paper your best map, but it's a map that you've always felt very comfortable on. And, you know, we talked about it, the desk were, you know, mentioning it as well. When it comes down to, you know, Deco on an AWP, he didn't really get to play that much. And Deco is one of the key pieces of your puzzle. So if he's not fragging, your team isn't playing at the optimal level, then all of a sudden, what could be a very good day turns into a very bad day. And it could be a very long day still for the likes of Aurora. B play for Saw as they try and pop out the tunnels. Lackey already dealt with. Norway had found initial success, but Aristos is just on another level right now. Saw cut them apart so far, and Deco and Risalt, they're trapped in towards middle in an engagement that they need to win, which they do, but it's taken a lot of time.
Yeah, he's wasted so much time for them. This round is so over. I mean, at this point, you're just sticking around for a little bit to see if you're going to be able to get another kill if your result echoes already in towards the pit. This round is so over, and it started off nicely, right? Norway with that opening kill in towards the B-bomb side. You have Deku, who's up close and personal as well, was a 3-man lean in towards that B-bomb side. But then Aristos just out of nowhere finds a double kill. And this is the good part of, I guess, getting to see Saul with a well-performing individual as well. We did have that conversation a couple times already, that if it's not Aristos and U-Jerks to open up the rounds, sometimes it feels like no one else can do the job, right? But at times, it might be enough for them to get some of those refrags. And, you know, if Aristos is popping off, we're not going to be critical of Saul for not having anyone else in tune, right? He's just coming in massive with some of those refrags. And as Yumi and T-Time mentioned, map number 1 was not just Aristos. I mean, he was on top of the board, but everyone else was finding the opening kills. Everyone else just looked really solid, really present individually. And that's the start that we get here. So a 1-0 lead, pissed around, forced by coming in from the CT side, and a big nade. That was great ball control by Aristos, by the way. Ronaldinho would have emptied.
Yeah, on the chest, taking it down. I was expecting him to take that on the volley and get it out of the map, but instead it explodes right in his face, and so might this flashbang. This could be very problematic in just a moment, as Aurora, they're waiting for a little bit of present. User seems to be aware that this is a possibility. Flash is going to come way too late, and already that long punch has been taken care of. The brunt of it already taken down. Deco has absolutely nowhere to go, and once again, Aurora just seemed to be massively overwhelmed. Norway hoping that the element of surprise will be in his favour, which it will for probably one, but how many more can he get out of this situation?
There goes one. There goes the second switch. Probably thought I was a Galoo instead of a Scout. Was never going to be an easy fight against Materia, so a nice effort, but still the round goes in favor of Soen. Let's talk about that reaction, man. So just pausing, that was incredibly difficult. I mean, it might have looked a little bit silly, the fact that Aurora tried to walk forward without flashes. The thing is, in that situation, you're hoping for Soul to give you a sound cue, something to indicate that they're going for the peak, right? You don't want to just go for the flashes and then see 3 people that were playing anti and waiting for that play. You want to catch them off guard, but so just pause for such an incredibly long time. It's really uncomfortable to play and make a call in a round like that if you're Aurora. Flashes were late, but it was just... I wouldn't say it's on the person that had the flashes in his hand. It was just the entire team was really confused on what was going on there. Because you know they're out, but for whatever reason, they don't want to give you the fight.
Yeah, it seemed like they were waiting for that, you know, long corner smoke to just clear, and then by then it was a little bit disjointed, and that could be a big problem, because if you're seeing that, you know, the kind of miscoms, that not everybody on the same page, Saw could cause you a lot of problems. That's a wonderful shot there from Lackey, but it's the only real bit of success that Aurora are going to have so far.
Did Story jump shot this guy with an AK just now? Was Story the first one in line? Because he jumped, so this is where you'd feel like they need to start getting rounds on the board. You want to feel some level of comfort. You don't want to feel like Dust 2 is just a continuation of Nuke, right? You want to feel like it's an entirely different map, and that's a great start. A nade on top, kill from the AWP, Deco, as mobile as possible, and there's the big difference. Round number 8 was the first time we saw him open Deco's hands on Nuke. Round number 4 is where we see it on Dust 2, and he's already found some impact with it.
He's going to walk right into Story here, who is going to be wayward. That seemed like a pretty straightforward, on the money, on the button kill. Oh, that molly is going to be on the button. Materis can't get out of it, and he is just going to burn up. Too hot to handle. Now, this is a scary situation for Saw, because first real gun round, first real resistance you're going to be met with, and you are struggling to handle anything that Aurora are throwing at you. You don't really have that much map control. And you might be forced to make a play where you risk it all. And it's just about where you want to risk it. Need to be careful. Rizal has already pushed all the way through long. He might catch 2 players in the back. Story gets dinked for his troubles, but he was aware at least.
Yeah, this is a big kill. That's what keeps you in the round right now. 30 seconds though, when Result gets the information, I think that might be a safe go here for the T's. You realize you're completely out of the round. I feel like even before getting that kill, it was already a decision that they were making. 35, 40 seconds on the clock. You feel like you have 2 players low on HP. You feel like you have too much to lose, right? You're looking at the sets of you two on both Aristos and Roman's Story on the AVP. You don't want to just throw yourselves out there, and that's going to be a bit of a gentleman agreement now between the 2 teams. Aurora on the other side in a position where winning your first buy round with 4 people surviving is going to be pretty nicely welcomed. Gives us a little bit of time to go back in history, by the way, Jack. And you know what? So, haven't played Dust 2 in that 5-man lineup, but last time around when they played Dust 2, they had 4 of the players that they still have in the team. Aristos is the only one that wasn't on Saw the last time they played it in 2022. And back in the day, So used to be hella good on Dust 2, and actually the last time they played it against Deco, he was still on 1 win, again 2022. Deco won that game, but it was a 19-17, and that's the only time he's ever played Dust 2 against Saw, by the way.
Seems like such a long time ago, but
comes to show how few changes Saw have been making throughout time, right? It's what enables them to build such a foundation and play Counter-Strike that feels like it's got identity, right? Which is the main problem of a lot of teams nowadays, especially the newly formed international teams. Saw does have their identity.
yeah, I mean, Materis and Roman, 2 of the longest standing players, 4 years and 4 months, if I'm not mistaken. That's a very, very long time to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and, you know, it's finally coming into fruition, and, you know, really putting it up to some of the best teams in the world at some of the biggest events in the world as well. Right now, they're putting it up to Aurora, who found some success, but need to be on the money once again. A second round in a row, consecutive ones, is something that they haven't managed to get on Nuke.
B-split coming up though, and Kenzie's opened up the distance in towards middle. They're gonna have a lot of space to work with, and it's just 2 players isolated on the bomb side. They're not gonna get any help. This is so claustrophobic right now.
It's down to really how good these flashes are. Lackey is going to stop a little bit of that mid-presence. That timing is just perfect for you to pop out of the tunnels, and it's a nasty surprise that awaits Aurora. We know how ridiculously difficult this B-bomb site is to retake. Saw might be in a perfect position for a fort, and Aurora might not want to give this one a go, but for confidence reasons, they might have to just risk it.
Yeah, you don't want to give it away, but the Opera's on the angle and they have a Molotov.
Yeah, he's been mollied out of position though. He's just burning up, waiting for the peak, trying to take one with him, but that will not be available. HE lands flush on the Tunnels players as they come on entry. Mateus and Aristos try and lock this one in. The Opera spotted. Aurora will retake with success, and they'll be able to pull that defuse off. They're dead right to go for it, Ted, because they come away with everything.
Yeah, and that's a great decision for Aurora. As you pointed out, it's really easily justifiable to actually call a save. We remember how notoriously difficult the B-bomb side on Dust 2 has always been to retake. The big difference maker there is the Oper, and the fact that he gets mollied in and doesn't get away with a kill, right? I guess you can commend the calmness in Story's eyes there, because he realizes he's a dead man. He was still trying to get that kill onto the player in towards the tunnel the moment that he realized he had no gap to work with inside of the Molotov. If he gets a kill there, then they're probably able to convert around. But yeah, a really good way to make the Oper uncomfortable there in the post plan. Still, a great round all in all from So. The way that they make Aurora really uncomfortable. One of the mid players, really well timed, gets the first kill. They wait to spot the second player in towards B before jumping through the smoke in towards the tunnels. So I've been playing well, but so far so good. CT side looking a lot better than the one on Nuke for sure at the start of this for Aurora. Of course, if you're taking a look at the 1xbet odds, they will be heavily in favor of Sol still, courtesy of their performance on map number 1, but it doesn't mean that Aurora's out of the competition. Of course, if you want to capitalize on those, make sure you go and check out 1xbet. Great guys over there. Really lovely fellas. And you have the CCT code that's going to give you up to 130 euros of bonus, but you got to stay responsible and you got to be of age.
Result's going to be responsible for long here, and he could be now in a position that he just gets completely undone. Flashes were so perfect, he couldn't see a damn thing, and by the time he came to his senses, it was just too little too late. Lackey, though, however, has made a great adjustment. This flank needs to be accounted for.
They should be aware. They have one player holding in towards the B tunnels and he's heard nothing. He's seen nothing. You've seen no reaction from the CT side. Surely you're going to be anticipating something, right? Especially in a map like Dust 2. It's the same conversation we had when we were playing on Nuke. A team like Aurora, you know they're going to be playing reactive Counter-Strike. And you must play reactive Counter-Strike. You're forced to. The thing is, you're thinking about it. It's an entirely different conversation if you want to send the player in there to try and look for Lackey. And he's playing a great position in towards Titanic. He's not offering himself, not risking his life, and he's got them locked in towards long. He doesn't realize there's one player in towards B, but they might be reading into it, as we can see some of them having a look in towards lowers and in towards that B bomb side. This is a really odd round right now for Saw.
I mean, if Muteris reads into this position, he is
No way.
the greatest player of all time, but that's not going to happen. Lackey's just going to take his time, and he's
Not ready for the lower player
take
now.
his kill. Yeah, no, never. Knife out. Naristos will get that refrag. Now this A attack is going to spring into effect, but the CTs are holding on for now. They know there's a mid player coming at any time, but it's Aristos, and he is a tough man to deal with at all times, and he is the difference maker here for Saw as they get back to winning ways.
Yeah, this is great. The level of composure that we're seeing from Saul, the moment of realization as well, right? You spot Lackey in towards Titanic, you lose your life to him. It doesn't make a difference. You know what the round is. The moment that the refrag comes in, you know you have no time to run it back through long in towards the B-bomb side. You're forced to go into the A play, and it's all coming down to efficient refragging. But Arrowsdale's coming in from the back lines, finding a triple kill once again. And we were talking about the 1xbet odds. They are in favor of Saul, and we can see why. Saul is looking really good, even at the start of Dust 2. And again, there's no money to work with for the CT, so as many kills as you can get with the pistols, that's gonna be alright. But it's another round that's pretty much, well, I don't want to say a free one, but percentage-wise should be going in favor of the Portuguese side. Unless?
Oh, unless, I mean, you find that kill.
B-bomb side's clear. You're gonna clear it out. Thing is, if your Oper misses a shot and goes down, bomb is still making its way into towards short.
I mean, he's hearing all those rotations, right? He's hearing everything every step of the way. Story is in so much trouble right now, and he's just going to be overwhelmed. No. There's the bomb delivered to Deco's doorstep, and all of a sudden, the round might be as well. Aristos needs to try and find these pistol players that have found lovely upgrades, and it's Lackey using one of those upgrades to great use. Aurora, what a round that they have recovered there. And it started off so well for Saw, to be honest. I mean, they find an opening kill over towards long, but they just really commit into fights that they don't really need to.
Yeah, right, and then you overcomplicate it a little bit towards the end, right? Aerosdorf walks out towards the B-bomb side, you hear the steps in towards CT, and you're thinking you're not safe anymore to send it with the bomb in towards B straight away. You wanted to outmaneuver them there, and the fact that Story as well gets overwhelmed in towards top middle is a massive difference maker. So Aurora being able to throw a spanner into the works early on, gonna boost up their economy and putting a big dent into the economy of Saw that, interestingly enough, with two players on 1550 decide to go for an eco. They're not going to reinvest into this one. And if you're Aurora, now you've realized it. Results put himself in an awful situation, maybe not being ready. Of course, is coordinated with a top mid push. How are they finding that much damage with clocks?
I have absolutely no idea, but the Deagle pistol will always reign supreme.
I mean, I have my crazy theory that Ujurx is one of the best Glock players in the tier 2, tier 1.5 space, right? I feel like T-side pistol rounds, he always gets a double or a triple. But he's not supposed to be as good against the guns. And you know what? Considering your investment right now, that's something you're going to be extremely happy with. I mean, Ujurx, who was on 1500, now has 1850. That's going to make a bit of a difference. Of course, you're still standing on pretty fragile money for the next round as well, as the loss bonus is not going to be the best one on offer. But it is important from Aurora's perspective to try and not lose any more players.
It is very important, but Mateus would love to take a few more weapons away if he could. Ooh. The dink nearly set him up for success, but Deco accurate through the door. It's a leveled up game.
Yeah, looking good now for Aurora. This is the start that you were after, right? It's really easy to fall off the map, so to speak, especially after a map like Nuke, and then the start on Dust 2 is good for Saw. That one round that they're able to steal away with the pistols was the massive disturbance. Early on, though, we're gonna see the double op setup. Back to Dust 2 days, you can justify it a lot more easily, and Deku's gonna be starting in towards that B-bomb side to take some space alongside his teammate of Norway. In the meantime, though, we have Lucky posted in towards A, and this could work out really nicely. If Deck was able to get a kill here, you could be expecting a reaction in towards A from Saw, and that might lure them into a false sense of security. For now, though, a pretty slow, a pretty methodical round for Saw, trying to get a feel of the map, and that's allowed Aurora to get the Oprah into a really good position. Now, the moment that we get past that minute 10, minute 5 timer, they're probably going to start walking forward, but So's arrows, though, and Deco, patience gets rewarded.
And I saw would have no other option but to just spring into action. Lackey with that secondary op isn't going to be as successful. Oh, bullets whiz by each other's head here. And Lackey is forced to back up as Saw try and make their way across. It's going to be difficult with the lack of util. Smoke up, any HGs to expose the T's. Not right now, as Saw will close the distance a little bit here, and this is where it could get scary for the CTs, especially with the mollies forcing Lackey out of position, but a fantastic reaction in time. Drops the bomb, and Saw need to get their mitts back on it.
Yeah, but the smokes have faded. You're gonna be so exposed when you're trying to go for those peaks, and Story's missed another one. This is key. Result finds one more. Story stuck in such a difficult situation. Too many bodies on his screen, and there's no chance he could even dream about getting away with this one. Aurora looking a lot more solid now on the CT side. Starting to find that level of comfort, putting Deco in a great position to open things up. Rotations were good enough. The moment that Mateus gets that kill, and then Lackey starts getting spammed down by Ujurx, you're seeing a world where this one just falls apart for Aurora, even though they knew exactly what was going on. But Lackey with a great reaction on that open. Of course, the rifles to finish off the job. It's the first time so far in the series when we've seen Aurora in the lead, and it's a great moment for that to happen.
Yeah, it just kind of came down to a few missed shots, to be honest, from Story. I mean, if he gets any of those kills, he had a chance to drop Lackey, you know, a chance once again to drop a player in towards CT. If he gets that, the dynamic of that round just completely flips and turns on its axis. So
yeah. In his defense, I'll say that when you're in pit and you're fighting that side player, it's an incredibly difficult fight for both those players.
I'm not saying it isn't.
Yeah.
Trust me, I definitely wouldn't hit the shot either, so I definitely can't be complaining all that much. But
And you can put your money where your mouth is on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, never gonna happen. Nice opener with the deagle, but Lackey is doing the business with this secondary up as he will opt to swap over to the pistol. Won't really seal the deal, and Saar coming away with a lot of damage in this round, but it's not really gonna matter all that much. We're looking for maybe just a little bit more. Full eco falls by the wayside, and now they're back on a buy. They need to do something to deal with this double op setup though, and that could be just a little bit of a problem. Story's gonna field an AWP, but you feel he needs to do something about them early.
Yeah, you better save that second up for Lackey. He's been hitting some really impactful shots the last couple rounds. I mean, I know this one was just against the pistols, but it's the fact that you get a kill with the op. It's just boosting up your confidence slowly but surely. And when you feel like Lackey towards middle can just have it under a lock and key, that's gonna give a lot more freedom to Deco, and you can synchronize between the two of them. Speaking about being dynamic with it, Lackey this time around starts in towards long, but he's all alone. You gotta be careful. It's a lovely flick onto you, Jerks, and there's no one in close to try and go for the refrag. Lackey will be provided a way out, and that's going to give even more time for you Jerks, or not for you Jerks, sorry, for Deco to get closer into her short. So if you want to commit to that A play, which feels like the only option, you're going to be walking into two ops. Well, one.
Story making good on that peak this time around. Aurora have cleared out tunnels at least. They know exactly what's going on, but all well and good having an idea of what's about to happen, stopping it is a completely different story. And so they're already across. Deco just trying to hold around that smoke to see if he can spot anyone out. The swing is wide and Deco just can't deal with it. Util is just going to go up, and Saw are going to lock Aurora out of this round for now, but they've got so much money, Ted, that they are never letting this one go. They're going to attempt this till the death as they'll wait out that util and begin to spring into action.
Yeah, smoke for Kenzie. Avanger in place. He's got a Molotov. He's got a flash. The util, but the resmoking towards short. There is a cap, thankfully, but it's going to make it a lot more uncomfortable here for Aurora. And the time is running low. It's so difficult to get into a favorable fight right now. Flash goes high. Materials finds one. Result with the refrag, but the time is running out. They need to be extremely quick on this one, and there's so many players that you need to find out. There's no way you're making this one work. And look at the low HP. You're just playing for the kills at this point, and you will get them. Result with a great spray, but the round is for So, and Result might be going down to the bomb as well. Oh, barely staying alive.
Just barely. He'll have a look to try and maybe scavenge a weapon or two.
I mean, it wouldn't have made that big of a difference.
Yeah.
Actually, it does make a difference when you look at the money right now. I think they would have been, well, no, they were good. They were good. Yeah, he was already good on money. He would have been able to rebuy for himself. A good round for Sol, though. At this point for them, it's really important to try and keep it an evened up game. And you're looking at 5 rounds T side, still a lot more competitive than what we saw on Nuke. That's for sure.
And it needed to be. Aurora needed something to go their way early on, especially just to get a little bit of their confidence back. There's no doubt in my mind that it was completely shattered by that Nuke performance. But still, it is a competitive game. It's not like Aurora have their map pick home and dry just yet.
Mid smoke failed for the T's. You'd want it to land a little bit towards the right of the door, and then it spreads all the way up, and you don't really need the hinge smoke for it. Norway is in a whole lot of trouble though. This is a lovely off angle to work with. Not if it gets spotted. Oh, sorry, doesn't connect.
Oh no, he's going to line up a quick double in Materius. He is the walking wounded right now. Has to walk backwards and get on out of there. B is not going to be an easy path into the bomb site, but neither is down towards the lower tunnels. Kenzie nearly gets punished for having a nade out. Burns a few players down low, but it's only the singular kill he comes away with. And Saw, now, although they've been spotted out, they still have maybe a small chance, but the HP is just going to make this so difficult, and especially with the position of Result, he's just going to be crunching down upon them. They've nowhere to go right now. Shadow spotted, nearly the second, but just the first, and Roman, he's going to have to tap into that clutching ability that we know he can pull off. Molly is going to burn Deco a little bit. Might realize there's somebody in towards CT. Doesn't want to take the fight just yet. Wants to get that bomb down safely. And a double off on the retake. The jumping no-scopes are going to try and happen. But nothing is going to connect just yet. He's going to isolate the fight. Headshot angle so difficult for the op to deal with. But he gets off it. And the lackey flick is enough to gain Aurora's 7th round.
Oh, you can even see the reaction on the camera. Roman can't believe it. You deal with the main opener. You take down Deco in that endeavor. That's such an unwinnable round that you make so close. A 1 versus 3 clutch like that. You were stuck in towards lower. They knew exactly where you were. And out of nowhere, you're able to make it so doable. The fact that Udrix survives that fight is absolutely ludicrous, by the way, but look at that once again. Headshot angles, great isolation there from Roman onto the fights, and he knows, he's going for the YP. He knows how uncomfortable that fight is for a player on an AVP. He's got the advantage, but Lucky just does not miss a beat. 12 and 8. A great performance by the captain. And this is a way that you can relit the fire, reignite the spark in the younger players on the team, right? When you see your captain playing to that level, and look at the odds shift. Lucky's been playing great, and a lot of it coming in with that second. Oh, that's why he's an IGL that puts himself in those good key positions, right? That's why he's playing rotation. That's why he's putting himself on the op. He knows he can find that impact.
No impact found for him in this round as he
Yeah,
just gets
I'm
swung by
extremely
3
sorry.
players. Yeah,
That was
just,
on me.
Giving him the kiss of death, unfortunately. So Aurora are going to have to reroute, try and explore their options over towards this B bomb site. Udrix is going to be boosted up and he's going to get a lot of vision now over towards middle. If the T's are going to make their move, Udrix wants to get ahead of the play and swinging past. It's actually Materis to find that kill. He's a real danger with the USP in his hand. And he's already over towards B, trying to lock in this tunnel's position. Aurora are trapped. They're bottlenecked here, and they're just going to have to go all the way back, but their exit's being covered as well. Saw are absolutely everywhere, just trying to gather the information, and Aurora must feel like they have absolutely nowhere to go, just being cut apart by the USPs once again, and Saw's pistols have been perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Udrix and his Glock prowess, but Story's been a great player when it comes down to pistol rounds. Everyone in Saw just looked extremely comfortable in this one. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be how the pistol round goes for Aurora, though. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, Deco, who was the one that tried to get in towards the Diango out middle and towards the right-hand side, he was the one with all the util. He had a smoke and 2 flashes. And as his teammates are going for a B play, they're leaving him there with all the nades. Might have been a little bit of miscom, probably didn't realize that he had all of that in him. Hard to think that he believed he would have been given a chance to use the util later on there, but a force buy once again coming out of Aurora. And, well, not a force buy, actually. I had a look at it. Just looking at the scout threw me off a little bit. So Deku goes for a scout here. He's probably going to be rocking the scout in the next round when his teammates will go for the AK. So it's just back to those 2 basics, right? I've forgotten that this is how laws are on this map. It is an eco, so a pretty clean one probably coming up for the side of Saw here. You gotta focus on keeping as many alive as possible, especially when you have invested into 2 rifles.
I was wondering how long it was going to take for Lackey to reveal himself. And eventually, just gets completely overwhelmed. This scout needs to pay something back to Deco. It was quite the investment. And he is trying to at least worry Saw with a few tags. He'd love a couple of headshots, but time is just not his friend right now. So he might have his sights set on saving. Instead, wants to get aggressive over towards middle. 25 seconds.
You gotta die before time right now. Even if you're saving, he doesn't even have armor, so you're not saving anything that you won't have in the next round. Nadiris arms another one, and that's gonna be a clean one from the flying MP9. So it's a good start. You hold on to all rifles, you hold on to the SMGs, maybe something a little bit more aggressive to start us off here on the CT side. Udrix is gonna get given that MP9 as the first long spawn. Fight coming up. Excited to see what comes in from Aurora. Now, this is a good point to, or a good moment to get back to that conversation we were having in the desk we're having about the Spirit game, right? Aurora did play a good game of Counter-Strike. They were simply outmatched by Spirit. In that situation, though, you're in a good state. 7-7, tied up first by T-side. It is your map pick. This is where you need to show us that Dust 2 can really be a map that people have a reason to fear when they're playing against you. So far, so good for Solo. Great opener by Roman.
Yeah, Roman roaming into the lower tunnels and dealing with 2 straight away. Result doesn't want to risk it. He can't. He can look as well. Push all the way through top mid. Materis is never going to be expected here from Deco with his scout, and he's just going to get overwhelmed. Saw with a complete shutdown that Aurora just weren't ready for. And this plan foiled. Result in Nori are going to have to try and come up with a few ideas on how they want to approach this next minute.
I mean, under different circumstances, you could have even been thinking about a save right now, and I think it's a conversation to be had right now. If you're Aurora, you have Result in Norway. Of course, they're not gonna have money in the next round, and neither will their teammates. But this is a 2 versus 5. You've been completely locked out of the round, and no one's giving you anything. Look, it's all just standing around the map. They've frozen. No one giving you even a pixel to work with. I guess the offhand going towards short is as far as you're gonna get, but Result gonna try and walk out of middle. Roman on the other side of the door, gets overlooked, headshot connects instantly, that's the bomb. Roman's even gonna get out of dodge, realizing he's low on HP, so he doesn't want to go into another fight. Materia spots out Norway, and you better believe they will make sure he doesn't hold on to that AK from here on out. Norway gonna try and back off, but they're just gonna chase him down. Story with the final shot. So make this round feel claustrophobic. And this is scary now, if you're Aurora. First round on the T side, and it's the same story that we saw on Nuke. You just feel like you can't have a say in what's going on. And the issue is you're on the T side.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, you're hoping that the game plan isn't the same story as Nuke for Aurora. Because it was a children's story. Saw were so...
Okay, we can stop overusing
able to read it, man. It was ridiculous. They just seem to be a step ahead at all times, and that is not a trap that you want to fall into right now. Deco, a scout every round, it would seem.
No. Also, one thing that you gotta be aware now, and this is something that people are starting to be aware of the late days of Dust 2 on CSGO, right? The fact that lower is probably the fairest fight you can get as a CT. As an oper, as a rifler, the lower aggression was getting overused towards the end of CSGO, and it's probably something that a lot of people will keep on going for. That's a great nasty shot from Deco. Sadly, it's another aggressive play in towards mid. It was the same old setup, and Roman playing the same angle in towards lower. And as we said, it's such a difficult one to clear out. Even though you get the refrags, Materia still with a double and doing even more. You find a couple of kills, it's not too bad, but at this point you just see Sol playing this one with extreme level of comfort. And there's no worse thing than feeling like the CTs possess a bigger part of the map than you do as a T at the start of a round like that, right? A start of a half like that on Dust 2. When you see them constantly fight for mid control, for lower control, constantly pushing in towards the extremities is something that might come in later on. Right now, you're conditioning the Ts to the fact that they will have to fight for mid a little bit more, or they will have to play a little bit quicker towards the A or the B bomb site. I can't believe I'm the one saying it, but Sol are momentuming their way through that one hard right now. Playing with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, this is where you need to stop the snowball if you're Aurora.
Boost for the op. Didn't work.
Didn't spot anything out. Roman won't be residing in the lower tunnels this time, so Aurora don't have to worry about that at least, but do need to worry about where he is gonna be later on. Waterfall smoke, denying any vision towards the mid players. As Aurora begin to take a little bit of map control, but it is just over towards mid and short. Nobody's gone out towards long. Lackey holding control of the tunnels at least. They can still go anywhere and everywhere. I wonder just how long until Sol get a little bit antsy for some information.
Yeah, at this point, you're trying to play it a bit more defaulty, right? You want to play reactive Counter-Strike to the thing that the T's are going to throw at you, and eventually that's going to mean that someone's going to have to start walking forward, and his story with the OP Gets denied by Deco. That's an opening kill in favor of the T's. And as we pointed out, so they've just separated themselves, right? Focused on the extremities, leaving middle completely. And that fight in towards long is the most important one right now for the two players in towards the A-bomb side. If they're able to deal with result, then you can potentially turn around and focus on short as well. But it depends on how early result wants to play into this. Or let me rephrase that. How late?
Terrace gonna discover him, doesn't like what he sees. Dujer's just now really in the boiling pot. Molly doesn't land on him. He has a little bit of space. Flash goes, but he pops ahead of it. And his head comes up, and his head drops down. And Saw fall away from this round completely. It's a really nice call from Aurora. A late call. They just wait, they freeze, and Saw just want to find some information at all. It was just so quiet. And the silence was deafening in the end.
Yeah, and it's an entirely different story to want to execute the A-bomb side from short when you know the Opera is alive, but then Deco shuts down Story of all people in towards middle. This is a big kill to find. Again, we did make the comparison between Dust2 and Nuke in that sense. You're constantly trying to avoid the Opera, right? And you're constantly reacting on the way that the CTs are going to be approaching their CT side and trying to take space as quickly as possible. It's not a map on which you can afford to play it, I guess, towards the middle of the round. You either go really quickly or you play really slow, and what we saw here from Aurora was the latter. They just go for a really slow round, waiting for the CTs to get nervous, knowing that it's extremely uncomfortable, and eventually you're going to have to start pushing for space. It's a round that they make look pretty simple. Great reaction by Deco, and as we said, patience once again, rewarding result in towards long. The moment that you deal with him, you know there's going to be a maximum one more player in towards that A-bomb side. And even if it's two, it's going to be two rifles. So, the first round on the T side, not looking too bad. Let's see how Saw responds to that. Well, there's your answer. Another boost over the smoke, but this time Deco falls down.
That's the opening. That's all we're looking for. Taking Deco out is such a big kill in a round like this. They want to hold on to that long control. And Aurora, how are they going to make this adjustment? Still, such a very patient round right now. I mean, Result is going to look for a little bit of information. Norway's going to be wielding that AWP instead. Terrified of Saw. Just trying to gather that information towards middle. Roman is only a whisker away with that spam. And eventually he will connect. Wow. Kenzie just can't quite believe his luck. He'll fall for free. And Aurora down to 3.
Yeah, you're just starting to get locked out of the round completely. It's so different to the previous one. You slow it down, but this kill through the smoke makes it so much harder now. The CTs have no reason to give you anything more. They can just leave one person in towards middle and focus 2 in towards the A-bomb side with D open, 2 more in towards B. Like he's trying to get some attention, but they're not really going to give it to him. I mean, they realize it's just the nades and nothing behind that, so players in towards A, not really moving too much. Smoke will indicate what's going on, and Story's positioned perfectly for this. They have a couple flashes to work with, but they will need to be perfect. And if you lose Lackey here, that could be a big loss, but he still manages to find a kill.
Flash is good. Blind Story. Do they realize about the drop into CT? They might not. Roman gets overwhelmed from middle anyway, but surely they realize what's going on. Aristos is going to be just waiting to receive them. Flash goes high over. He's completely blinded, aiming way too high, and they leave it very late, but they just about get into the bomb site, and Lackey is going to cut apart those rotations. Aurora will get a bomb plant. They will come away with the round, and Story needs to get away with his life, but Lackey's already on the hunt. They do not want him saving this AWP into the next.
Salvaged out of nowhere. What a mid-round call from Aurora. It was the perfect fake. They tried to make it look like a simple B fake with a couple nades from B, or from Lackey in towards the tunnels. He walks away, they throw in the short nades. There wasn't even a smoke that falls down towards CT, right? That's how usually you would go for a play like that, but they just throw the short and a banger smokes. They make it look like a play in towards that A-bomb site. They flash the Opera off the angle. Lackey finding that kill towards middle, though. This is the big difference maker. If he walks out and gets shut down by the player, then his teammates are pretty much forced to try and contest with the Op of Story. But the fact that he cuts off that one player, they can drop down CT, isolate one more, and you can see the communication on the camp of Saw, by the way. And let's emphasize on the fact that was a 5 versus 3, but the communication on the side of Saw was, this is still a short play. Lucky's still just trying to cut off rotations. This is not a mid to B. So that's the reason you see the second player coming down from B side. just looking for Lucky. He wasn't even thinking about the possibility of those players jumping down CT. Completely blindsided, and then what can we say about the final player on the B-bomb side? I mean, flashed into oblivion. What can you really do about it? That was a great mid-round call from Lucky. That's his strength, by the way. Opening up space for the team by himself, and some really dynamic mid-round calls. A great reaction from Aurora and a straight-up tactical timeout coming out of the Saw side. They still have enough money to go for a reinvestment. But it's not going to be an easy one, this one. Not as easy as Nuke. We can say that much. Aurora showing that they still have something to say about it. In a 3 versus 5 being pulled off. On the back of a round like this. Those are the map-defining rounds.
We've got what we wished for, alright. It's definitely a game now. But whose game is it going to be after the next few rounds? Story doesn't spot out Resolve, or Kenzie, excuse me. Delayed his push a little bit, waiting for that util. Aurora seem to be setting up for a B play here. Maybe just the fake up towards short and the pop out to disturb this hold of Aristos and Roman. It's just about how fast they want to go and how quick those rotations are. You can see Materius is going up to have a look in. Aristos goes for that peek. Now Roman's in a little bit of trouble, and that defense only finds 1 kill. It's Norway this time towards middle to cut off those rotations, and once again sawed apart.
Oh, that timing was so awful there, by the way. He was just jump spotting with a Molotov. If he keeps on doing that for a couple more seconds, he probably sees them. And then he spotted them out, but the Oper just gets the kill. One wayward shot there, and he could have lined up 2 or 3 people. And I bet this is what's going through his head right there. He feels like he can get away with so much damage, but Saw once again not really being given too much at the start, and them themselves just being conditioned to trying to be a bit more passive on that CT side, all in all. And you could see he thought he had the timing. They were just sending a 3rd player in towards middle. He thought he could have crossed in towards the right-hand side and get into a more comfortable angle to play crossfire with his teammate. Didn't work out though. Roman, Aristos, Materis, none of them being able to do anything about it. Well, I guess Roman technically did get 1 kill, but that's going to be the extent of it. Aurora looking really solid now on that T side. And it might be the right time to see Saul go back to some more aggressive maneuvers here. Because that passive default that they've been going for has been pretty kind to Aurora.
Yeah, it was the aggressive plays that was working, right? I mean, we're going to see here, I believe it is going to be Roman getting in towards the tunnels, dropping out a nade. It's towards long, though. That Saw need to be focused on. Aurora already out. New Jack's just going to have to give this one up. They've got the bodies there, but it's just such an awkward engagement. If they decide to fight, that really could be the round there and then. So they do back up and respect Aurora for now.
Yeah, and this is an odd one. I feel like, I'm not sure how much information Roman got, but if he was in a position where I didn't see, had he cleared out the entire B tunnels, they probably would have realized there's 5 people, or 4 people at least in towards long. So deciding not to engage might be the more intelligent approach, but again, really heavy in towards that mid side. Opers, exchange tags, no one going down. But now you're starting to hear the Yuto, and you're starting to get a bit more adventurous in towards the lower tunnels. The thing is, you're gonna get that information. Will the rotations be quick enough?
One of them will be for sure. He's already there, but New Jackson Roman, they need to kind of come back. Now, good counter utility being put up here from Saw. That will at least keep Aurora busy for a moment. Might just allow for a flank to come in a little bit later on, but
they're taking their time quite a while.
This is a little bit of a problem. If you continue to run this clocked in, everybody from Saw is going to be here, and they are going to be all hands to the pump right now to try and defend this bomb site as the swing in happens. But Aurora winning the majority of the fights and gaining that control, resorting Aristos and Story down to just that duo to try and hold on. But the bomb is going to be planted safely, and you've got a decision if you want to go for this or if you want to back away and try and save. But there might not be an exit for Aristos. Story Misses that shot, and he is going to call it a day. Aurora, once again, they run that clock pretty thin, but it's perfect on the entry to the bomb site.
Yeah, look at the minimap. Everyone's going for the hunt right now. They want to make sure he doesn't hold on to this. They realize how difficult it would be for Saul to go for another investment. Money is so incredibly low, and Story's just giving away his position. Getting that first kill, he's not getting out of there. Result will shut him down. This is a big round for Aurora. A triple kill for Result, and that might be what sends us to a third and final one. 11-9, no money for the CT side. And look at the replay once again, by the way. Check that out. That was a great call from Sol. They clear out the entire map. They have everyone in towards that A-bomb site. And then Aurora just annihilate them. They just run them over. A lot of close fights. A lot of low HP players on the side of Aurora, I guess. But you still win it with 3 players surviving. That's going to feel comfortable.
Gonna feel very comfortable now. Minute 40, you've already found 2 kills. You're close to that 12th, you can smell it. And they continue just to try and find out these pistols, everything going to plan. But Roman will strike first, over towards B. It's a good tag onto Kenzie as well. But still, a lot more to do in a round like this, and I mean, Aurora, they're not gonna let you save.
They're just facing their way through it, right? They're not even waiting for the bomb to get planted, not even waiting to secure the bomb site. They straight away know that they're going for the fights right now, and this is Aurora getting their confidence back. This is the Aurora that we wanted to see on Nuke, and this is the Aurora that we were worried we might not end up seeing on Dust 2. And I want to take us back to the first half, by the way. And still, a lot of props need to be put to Lucky's name. The key round here on the T side, the work that he was doing on the CT side, he's done a great job at making it a lot more of a, I want to say, healthy environment for everyone else on the team to wake up and start feeling like they're well in control. A tactical timeout. And this is for Aurora, by the way. Is it? Yeah. I like that.
Just being diligent about it.
Yeah. You realize this is the best chance you're going to get to close things out. I mean, the buy is still good for Saul. But you're up 12-9, you've won a couple rounds in a row now. You don't want to let them feel like they can even think about an overtime. You know you have them in a tough spot. It's usually not how rules are when it comes down to boxing, but in that case, you want to kick them while they're down.
Yeah, I don't think kicks are allowed at all in boxing.
No, not quite. Okay, you want to punch them while they're down. Yeah, even if they're standing up, probably kicking your opponents in boxing is not the best choice.
Yeah, probably not the best, I mean. We have seen a few boxers in the past go for takedowns and stuff like that, but yeah, no.
Sure.
Definitely not advisable.
How about a dirty brawl on the canvas? Surely know what you expected, well, when you tune in into a boxing fight. Well, thankfully, this is Counter-Strike, and everything's allowed here. Well, everything bar... What is it?
Aurora are hoping that this doesn't become a dusty brawl. Story, wayward with the flick, but has got the information. 2 players over towards Xbox, so it's going to pull the rotations just a little bit. And adjustments being made to the defense here, but you can see Saw are still very cautious that this is a fake, and they've been conditioned to feel that way.
Yeah, exactly, right? So many times they've just taken short like that with the protocol you do, and they've never used it. So right now, you have no reason to assume it's going to be an A play. You're still on high alert for the possibility of a mid to B split, for a drop in towards CT, and this is a great reaction from Aurora to just go for the straight up play as it is.
Yeah, but they lose one of the pieces to the puzzle over towards long. The bomb doesn't drop into spawn with that shot, so at least they have that going for them. And you can see Materius is terrified about that long position if anybody's going to be making their way over. But now they know Result is there. They're just going to crunch on the bomb site, and he's a million miles away. Bomb is not planted for him. Saw are just going to get this defuse pulled off, swap over, get the player with the kit on it. But that's allowed Result to get a whole lot closer. If he finds this kill, there's a chance. But chance taken away just a little bit too long to get there. And Saw will survive for one more round. And now, Ted, it's only 2 more rounds of Counter-Strike they need to play to force an OT. This one isn't done just yet.
Yeah, but look at the money. They have a worse buy than they had in the previous round, and now is the time to go for a tactical timeout if you're Saw, right? You have no remaining, but I guess in that situation, you just understand that last time around, you had an ADP, you had the M-Force, you had the Uzo. Now you're going to be working with Famuses. Story is not going to be on a big green for sure. You lost everybody. And that was starting to get really dangerous, by the way. The moment that the player without a kit gets on the bomb, I'm sweating for Result having enough time to swing from short and find both kills. He still finds both kills, though. This is one round after which you're not overly disappointed if you're Aurora. You realize this is your best chance. I wanted to say it about the previous one. No, you know what? This one is even better. Money is not great for Sol right now. Aurora in a great spot to try and take this one over the line. But this is truly the one that you need to capitalize on. If you let them get up to 11, then anything's possible. And if you're Aurora right now, you don't want to believe that everything's possible. You want to believe that the only possibility for this Dust 2 is to go in your favor.
Lucky head down, sprinting to get in towards the pit, and they have no idea. He'll mow them down from behind, and this is cutting Saw's defense pretty much in half. Story just praying that he gets a fight that he wants as they rush through the smoke. They haven't spotted him out just yet. Roman has arrived to try and save the day, and he might just need to be the hero that Saw are after.
It's still a competitive round, but it's just the Famuses that are left.
Yeah, and we're seeing the changes with the new Dust 2 and the new smokes, right? That deeper smoke, that deeper variation of the corner smoke, that allows you to just run out. Yes, it does allow the CTs to get closer, dodge the flashes, and go for the white peak, seeing where the wall is, but if you have the first spawn, you can be well ahead of them. And Aristos and Roman need something special right now. Aurora just gonna stick together. They have plenty of util to use as well. That's not gonna be an easy one for the two Famuses, and Roman gets mollied.
Do they realize that though Roman is waiting? He's not going to overcommit into an angle that he doesn't need to, but eventually he's going to need to take one of these fights. He wins the first. Aristos unsuccessful on the transfer, and it looks like we're transferring over onto a third.
Result to clutch up and find that important kill, Ted. Aurora, they managed to come back. It was looking a little bit touch and go. We were thinking maybe they weren't going to be able to respond, but Dust 2 still their map.
Yeah, and I mean, at the start of this day, I wanted to see an action between Sol and Aurora. It was always an exciting prospect for me, and I'm really happy that we get to see a good performance from the Aurora boys, right? Because we know that they can produce a lot more than what we saw initially on map 1, and I feel like now that we've seen what they can do on Dust 2, we can just forget about what we saw on Nuke, right? We can say that that was a short or a slow start to the day, maybe just Sol playing an incredible Nuke, right? And we did give them credit where credit was due, but that map number 2 was a lot better. Result, lucky, everyone playing great Counter-Strike. And speaking about greatness, well, there's nothing greater than hearing about Counter-Strike from people that they actually know what they're talking about. So we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk.
No, who's he talking about? None of us know what we're talking about or what we're doing. I feel uncomfortable now.
I thought Aurora were
So
going to
much
win
pressure.
the first map, you know? So, I mean, clearly I don't know what I'm talking about.
You don't have any idea what you're talking about. So the casters were talking a lot about boxing. And the reason I'm bringing up the boxing is because I don't know if either of you have ever seen a messy, drunken street fight where two dudes fall out of the club and they get into a little bit of a fight, but they don't really know how to box. So there's like a lot of slap and tickle going on and some rolling around on the floor. That was what Dust 2 felt like for me. I felt like Aurora and Saw were kind of kicking each other in the ankles, running away, making a lot of silly mistakes. It wasn't as clean as I was expecting. You.
I would expand that analogy more so that, you know, they were hitting pressure points and then they were trying to flail their dead arms at each other, because that's what it felt like to me more so. I'll transition that into actual game speak, because Seoul were actually on their CT side controlling and pressuring mid while Aurora was setting up in their default so well throughout this game. And, in spite of the fact they actually find a lot of those advantages, you see where those X's are on the map, those are dead Aurora players. This was a 3 versus 5 that Aurora were able to bail themselves out of very, very well, based on the fact that they still understood that mid pressure was going to be applied and that they were going to be doubling up together on the side of Seoul. And that led for some very good trades and ultimately a round win for Aurora. But that was Aurora's weak point. That was what Seoul were pressuring the entire time throughout their CT side. But Aurora, when they're on CT, they were constantly getting long control and getting these flanks towards mid. It was really weird to see both teams lean into a strength, but also compromise on their holds, I guess, when they were on their T sides.
It was also just one of these things where, just to also extend the analogy, because I don't know why I keep doing this. I don't know why I'm going along with this one. It's like the guy remembered how to box in the middle, but then forgot again, and then someone else remembered. It's just really they're taking turns being good at this. So, yeah, because it really was very interesting when we switched over to the second half. It felt like Saul was doing such a good job of dominating mid side of things. You know, we see Muterus get up to 15 kills, but then Muterus has a 6-round dry streak. He gets absolutely no kills. He goes from 15-10 to 15-16, and in all of these rounds, it felt like Aurora got all of that momentum back. They really took control, and Resalt, sure, might not have been playing necessarily the entry pack role that we associated with him, but he was so incredibly important in this series.
We need to knock out this analogy now. We're done with it. See what I did there? I know it was cringe. It was fun though. Tea time, what did you think of Swords Dust 2 overall?
I really did like a lot of what Roman was bringing out on the CT side of things, but in the same realm at what Aurora was getting caught off by, it felt oddly similar. You know, Roman and Result were both able to get a lot of good pressure out from short and long, and it was always one of these situations where you're thinking, surely they're gonna figure it out now, right? And eventually Aurora did, and that's why they took it home, but it was, funnily enough, quite mirrored.
Yeah, I think the biggest disappointment coming away from this Dust 2 was that the AWPers actually both kind of struggled to show us good AWPing displays on either side. I felt like Story was getting a lot of opportunities, I thought Deco was doing the same, and there was just a lot of missed shots. Weirdly, when they're on rifles or pistols, that's where they were finding, I think, the majority of their frags throughout this map.
I mean, I
So
just
one
have one
expect-
request to Story. Sorry, Sam, but I
Yeah,
just have one
no
request to Story. Just stop taking these hairline angles, man. Please. It's not working online.
So the 1xBet predictions are up, which means we can move on to our decider, because obviously it's now going to Ancient, which will decide who is going to take this whole series. For you, Tea Time, when you take a look at what you've seen now, obviously Sleepy Aurora in Game 1, waking up a little bit in Game 2, can they close it out on Ancient?
I think they do close it out on Ancient. I was a little bit optimistic that maybe Saw can 2-0 this, but I think Ancient for Aurora is just clearly a better map, and Result's also become much more activated as the series has gone on.
Yeah, and I think Saw, like, they actually do have good game planning, and I think both maps, they've actually shown very clear philosophy. I'd lean it over to Saw just because I've had more faith in the way that they've called so far this series consistently versus what Aurora has offered up. Listen, I know I'm battling here. What? Why is it discussed on both sides? I'm fine with one
You've
side. but
gone
both-
from saying 2-0 Aurora to, oh yeah, I think Saw's got great
Yes.
game planning. They're
I
gonna take this
I
one.
went in based on current form before this series, but so far from what I've seen this
I
series,
would like to remind everyone that Michael did also say Saw shouldn't pick Ancient either. So you know what? I'm gonna put you to the fire over here, Michael. Let's see if your second time is right. You're getting
Well,
2 tries.
yeah, if I'm wrong again, I don't know what to say, man. I do think they have called a better game. That's all I've got.
Michael's my favorite type of analyst. He sits on the fence and then he just jumps from side to side.
It's almost
side,
like they
you
can
know,
play
he-
good or bad. I don't know how they're gonna play before the game.
Fair enough, though, because I'm actually going to defend you here. I do think that Saw's calling has looked better than Aurora, even with the loss that we just saw. I think that they could potentially take in Ancients because of that. So Timmy, is he completely wrong? I think you, me, leaning on the side of Saw, they've looked a bit stronger than maybe any of us expected coming into this series.
Well, yeah, I think I really did like a few of the adjustments that Muterus actually called on the CT side of Dust 2. There were a few really good aggressive pushes where they were able to sort of take control away, and that's going to be really important because it's a very similar dynamic towards mid Dust 2 that we're going to see on B lane and Ancient. So I do think that this is going to be really heavily down to whether Muterus has a good read of things or not. The only issue is that Muterus can sometimes play a little bit further away from the pack, so who's going to be going for those sort of micro calls in situations like that? I'm really looking to Roman, and the fact that Roman's had a really good series so far, that could be what parlays Saw forward into actually taking Ancient through. I think Roman's micro calling could be the difference.
I'm just going to jump in here as well. If Lackey doesn't have a good game on Ancient, he probably holds the most integral part of the map for them on CT sides. If he doesn't have a good performance in mid, then it's very likely that Soul will take over.
Ding, ding, ding. There's a bell and the round is over. I don't know. I don't really
You
watch
said you were
that much
dropping this.
boxing. I know, but sometimes I just like to pick it back up and throw it in the air and overdo it, which is exactly what I've done. We're going to a break. We're going to Ancient after that.
changing, but one thing remains the same. Victories with 1xBet.
Tired of boring case openings? Do you always get only cheap skins? The Hellcase website has tons of options to upgrade your inventory. It's up to you to participate in giveaways, events, or compete with other players in opening cases. Hellcase, your world of expensive skins.
Pick and fly. Make your choice. Play Pick'em and get your prize.
Welcome back, folks. It was only right to go to a third and final map in our opening series of Group A here at the CCT Global Finals. You are watching, of course, the big final event of all that has happened in the last 2 years. And my name is Ted. I'm joined by the lovely Jack Boy, Zerfer, Kelly. Jack, it's been a great series so far, right? I'm gonna cut straight to the point. Map number 1 was too one-sided, too comfortable for Saw. Thus 2, we got what we wanted. We got a good performance from the side of Aurora. We got a close game. We got a couple rounds that had the nerves, I guess, showing on both sides. And now we're going to a third and final map. I'm gonna trouble you for a prediction. I'm extremely sorry, but who's taking that engine home and why?
Yeah, you couldn't just wait to throw me under the bus. I can see it in your eyes. Yeah, look, to be honest, I think Dust 2, it was a little bit all over the place, to be honest. It was very sloppy, but Aurora were able to, take it home, obviously. Ancient, I don't think they can get away with it, kind of being that sloppy. I think Saw are going to be obviously a lot better on Ancient, so I am going to be leaning a little bit towards them, but I don't want to discount what Aurora can actually do on this map, because we've seen them have some great success here, man. Lackey is always somebody, not just on the CT side, as Michael was pointing out, but on the T side. Just the timings that he's able to find over towards middle can sometimes be very difficult to deal with. He can cut off those rotations like we've seen when he was doing it on Dust 2 towards the mid doors. I think if he gets into those positions, Saw once again could be in a little bit of hot water.
Yeah, something interesting to add to the point that you were making right there, right? Since the addition of Result, which for those of you that don't know, it has been around the month, right? They played with Belchanok for a little bit at the start of the year, didn't really work out. We actually get to watch Belchanok later today, so we're gonna have a chat about him. But Result has been extremely successful when it comes down to his opening endeavors on the T sides, right? And Enshin is one of the maps on which you can tell that he's a real intelligent player, but a pure aimer at heart. And the fact that he's finding all of that success on the other side of the map allows Lackey to get a lot more space and play on his own terms, so to speak. Not rush into timings, not go for a play before feeling comfortable to go for that set play, right? And that's something that we've noticed recently on Enshin especially, right? The fact that it feels like the more successful Result is, the more successful Lackey is, because then he's a lot more relaxed. He knows that Deco's gonna be good on the support. Something else that we haven't mentioned, of course, I don't want to delve down and be the nerd that's talking about numbers, but on average, since Result has joined the team, Deco has been flashing his opponents for 2 seconds on average per round. And that's plenty of time for Result to get his opening kill, right? So when you see that Deco and Result have good cohesion, good communication on the other side of the map, again, especially on the T side of Enshin, it's quite easy to spot. Lackey's feeling a lot more relaxed to go for the plays whenever he wants to, and he's been a lot more successful. Now, one thing that I wanted to ask you about, and one thing that has been a recurring topic when it comes down to Aurora, is the fact that, especially on a map like Enshin, on which is really easy to feel like you're running out of ideas and gas when the CTs are playing a good game, Lackey has been a couple times criticized for maybe the lack of strategical depth to when things are not going his way, not being able to find a way to set up his team and his players in a position where they're able to make a close game out of it.
Yeah, I think, man, to be honest, I don't know really if we're going to see that. I think maybe the criticism is kind of fair, but
I'm not saying I'm a supporter of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say that at all, especially, with the point that you were making with, getting into those positions. You know, Result just being so good on the entries. I think that's just going to be a real difference maker. And sometimes the strap up doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It doesn't have to go really that deep. And especially because you just run over and shoot heads exactly like that. They're just going to get a bomb plant in this pistol. Nothing Saw can do to stop them on the entry. And the retake should be on the cards. But they're going to need to go quick. No kit in play.
Yeah, quick flank coming in from the Ram side. Roman needs to stay alive and win enough time for Materis and Aris to activate themselves. They haven't been spotted yet, but the teams will surely be thinking about this as a possibility. And suddenly there's 4 people on your screen. This is a nightmare. Result finds a double on the Julies, and it's just Roman left, and Lucky shuts him down. A double for Result, a double for Kenzie, 1 on the board for Aurora. It's a great start with a pretty dynamic pistol round. And for the first time so far this series, I believe we're going to see a full eco from the CT side team after they've lost the pistol, because Aurora was just hitting us with some crazy force buys.
It looks like we are going to get a breather in that regard. We've got a little bit of a breather. Not for the odds, though, as Aurora are actually the favourites to take this one home. Of course, if you want to take advantage of those odds, you can click the banner down below the stream and head on over to 1xBet. You can sign up with our promo code CCT and get up to €130 welcome deposit bonus. So yeah, great value for money there.
By the way, something we haven't mentioned, and that's something that I realized before the start of the broadcasting day, but we're actually working along with Best of 3 GG, which is bo3.gg for those of you that don't know, and they're running pick'ems for the CCT Global Finals. So if you want to go in, ladies and gents, join in. I believe there's a comment in chat and there should be a banner below the stream. So head over to bo3.gg and there's pick'ems that you can fill up while the tournament, as the tournament is going. So you're not limited to just doing them before the start of the tournament. You can actually head over and participate for free, and you can win some cool skins. And it doesn't take anything, right? Just a little bit of your time, and I guess good feel for what's going to happen in the tournament.
Yeah, it's
a
always
lot
good
of
when you're
interesting
allowed.
teams and players.
Yeah, it's always good though when you're allowed to pick them up, you know, kind of halfway through. I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely terrible at remembering to do, you know, any kind of like pick'ems or kind of like fantasy or stuff like that.
Sounds like a skill issue.
Yeah, I just completely forget. There's just other things going on in my head, and I always miss them, and I always get the, you know, the fear of missing out, the FOMO,
other
so to
things
speak.
going in my head simultaneously. You're just looking at the raccoon with his hands up.
You leave Pedro out of this, okay? He's always on my mind at all times. It's just those little hands, man. It's those little hands going up and down. How
I
do you
mean,
not love
he
it?
would have been a strange raccoon had he had bigger hands than this.
Yeah, true.
Have you ever seen a raccoon with big hands? Probably not.
I've never seen a raccoon in real life.
Really?
I don't think they exist in Ireland.
I told you we were gonna just put a dot at the end of the sentence. I don't think they really exist.
Yeah, they're just completely fabricated.
Like
yeah.
dragons and unicorns. Top 10 mysterious creatures that we wish existed. Dragons, unicorns, and raccoons. Well, with that being said, though, ladies and gents, we are good to go with the game. Thankfully, technical difficulties dealt with early on. And remember what I said about a second round eco? Well, it's not really happening, so I'll decide to run it with a force buy here. An MP9 on ours, those, a couple of upgraded pistols, a little bit of U2 as well. Gonna be interesting to see how Aurora deal with it. And a 4-man stack in towards the B-bomb side at the start of it, but it's not just going to be a static stack. It's going to be an active one.
Yeah, very active in towards the B lane way, taking all that control away from Aurora, just making it a little bit difficult to really get a feel on the round. But the problem is, when you've gone for a force buy like this, you don't really have the util to hang on to this part of the map for very long, and Aurora not even really going to contest it. They're just going to head out towards middle, and Saw might have to go for their aggressions elsewhere now.
Yeah, you might be feeling like you're being pushed away, and so we're actually having a pretty decent idea on what's going on right now. This is going to be a B play. Just gonna leave Deco in towards red with his Gonna try and play it later on, but look at that double push. They can catch a couple players, and ours won that fight. This is big.
Oh, Result wants to Make sure he doesn't overstay his welcome over towards middle. That could be a big problem, as the distance is now being closed by those pistols, and Aurora, they're going to feel that their hand is forced to go into this B bomb site. 5-7 up close towards the pillar, but Aurora just begin to cut those pistols down, and a very scary round turns into an extremely simple one. It's a second in a row.
Yeah, they deal with it with great patience, right? The fact that Result gets that first kill, doesn't get involved into too much, allows Lucky to join in and help him out. No one was really left alone, right? They were just moving in groups, and that's what makes the big difference in that situation. I mean, Deku was towards middle, but again, he just gave away an SMG and not really a rifle. If you give away a rifle to one of those CTs, then the round can just turn around instantaneously. In that situation, though, fairly decent from Aurora, and this is the first time we're actually going to see a nice start from them on at the start of the game, at the start of a half. I guess it's a fair assumption to make, or a fair statement. Nuke obviously didn't really go that well. Dust 2 as well, so we're really competitive at the start of Dust, the start of the second half. So far so good for the Portuguese side when it comes down to pistols, when it comes down to how they begin their campaigns. This is the first time we're going to see Aurora in the driver's seat from early on, and it's going to be interesting to see how Saul responds to that, right? Because so far they've always had to fight adversity in a way, but now we actually get to see Aurora being put in a much better position to dictate the pace. And this was one of the discussions that me and you were having earlier today. The fact that Saul, a lot of the time, coming into games really well prepared, but when things start going wrong is where they're struggling to come out with solutions.
Solutions need to be found quickly. First going around is usually a good place to start. And Story already wielding that AWP will definitely be a massive bonus. That's if he's able to do something with it. We talked about Result being a real danger, trying to open up these rounds for Aurora. And he's going to be trying to do that out towards middle, but not as quick as you might expect. This is quite a slow approach, but it's one that Saw don't really look too ready for. There's a big fight going over towards Donut here. This Result won't be able to find that kill. Materius, he's sticking around here, which could go against him horribly. And Result has already crossed.
Yeah, he didn't want to let him do that, right? That puts so much more pressure on the shoulders of the B players, especially if the spam finds a kill. That's so much damage. This is really uncomfortable right now for the CTs. They're trying to leave the bomb site to clear out middle, but Aurora being really quick on that approach into towards B. What can you really do to deny them?
So now Ujix is going to go try and clear him out. And he's just going to lock in that frag. Aurora are all over that B bomb site now, and unless this util is going to be able to deny a plant, Saw might not want to take a peek in, but they've already dealt with that mid presence, that mid pressure. And three players are close, but close is as far as we're going to go in this one.
Yeah, this is a straight up 4v4 that you can't go for. Even though you have a couple of nades, you have a Molotov, a smoke, an HE, a flash, a defuse kit, low HP on both Story and Roman, and you're completely locked out of the round. Materials was already in towards A main. He'd made the call so much earlier. He realizes how risky that is. This is a really good round from Aurora, by the way. They've been extremely methodical on that T side. You might be starting to feel the sweat now if you're so. You've dropped the first buy. At least you're going to hold on to 4 guns, so this is just a great calmness being shown by them, I guess. Knowing that there's no need to throw themselves out there, but again, emphasizing on the call from Aurora. It felt like it was extremely methodical, right? Get Results into a good position in towards red where he can cut off rotations. Everyone else groups up in towards the B bomb side. There's the replay. This is the big difference maker here. The fact that Result gets the kill, it means that instantly the B players need to focus their attention onto him. They need to try and clear him out. They leave the bomb side, and it was a great timing for Aurora to start scaling up the B bomb side.
Mollies and flashes are going to make this very difficult right now for the CTs to try and hold on to that mid-control Result. He's not going to be discouraged by any of that util, tries to get ahead of it, but no kill found. Oh, it occupies enough space now for the shelf blade to come into action, and this is falling apart over towards mid right now for Saw. They need to be so cautious about what engagements they take from now on, and especially with Result spotting out.
Look at Deco.
Arzos, yeah, Deco is all the way up, and he's gone completely under the radar here.
Yeah, that's so much information. It's a lot of information, right? The fact that you spot out Story, or no, I think it's you jerks in towards Cave, right? You spot him out after finding those kills in towards middle and that kill onto a B player. You realize B's gonna be completely free. And the only way this one falls apart is if Result gets caught off guard in towards T-spawn. But I don't think Arizos is gonna be quick enough to catch him. He's missed him, and this is massive. They might think about Deco's position. They might think about this as being a possibility, and it's one thing knowing it's a probability. It's an entirely different thing knowing it's factual and knowing exactly where he's playing off to. 35 seconds. It might be uncomfortable for Result to go for the cross, but you can tell they just don't want to peek right now. Ujers doesn't want to risk it, and he's missed the timing completely. Not sure if he caught a glimpse of him. Bomb's going to get planted. Deco's in a great position, but look at how quick Arizos is going to be on that flank.
This is something you're never expecting. He is so quick from the flank. Even if you get this bomb down, Result needs to be ready. He's already been spotted and taken out of the equation. Deco needs to go huge in this clutch right now. The headshot is fine. Yeah, he's going to swing forward, but Story making sure Aristos does not get peeked over towards the ramp. That really could have got out of hand very, very quickly, but Saw get it back under wraps and pick up their first CT round because of it.
Yeah, those are the types of rounds that you can't simply afford to lose, right? And as we were discussing, and the guys over at the desk were discussing at the break, the fact that they did lose that 3 versus 5 or 5v3 from the perspective of Soul and Dusty, it felt like that kick-started Aurora's campaign on the T side, right? A lot of times, so, and I could completely agree with Michael on this one. I feel like Soul have been playing the more strategically sound Counter-Strike so far, more tactical, more fundamental. But then in some of those situations, when you have an advantageous position, you get an early opening, you get into a 5 versus 3, against a team like Aurora, you're often going to be given the reason to do a misplay, right? And if you're out of focus for a second, they're going to capitalize on those situations. That's the thing that you want to make sure it doesn't happen on the third and final map. Unfortunately, there's no way for you to think about that as a factor. Unless you find an opening kill, and that's not going to be the case this time around. Kenzie shuts down Roman straight away, and he spotted Ujers as well. This is really dangerous. He wins that fight. This is one that they needed, but it's still 1-for-1.
Almost an unintentional jiggle. All bullets are going to be traded, but only one is going to come away with exactly what they were hoping for. Kill found. Deco has no other option but to walk away. As Result and Lackey, this double walk towards middle, Mateus is in a good position to deal with this. He just wants this information. Doesn't like what he sees. A pixel angle headshot. Mateus is absolutely destroyed, and Aristos needs to try and hold on. Deals with the first one, but the second is just too much. HE should deal with Story. And now, Ujers spotted out.
That's big. Ujers wins the first fight. Where's the bomb carrier, though? And that's the big question. Was Lucky just faking? Surely he was waiting for his teammate, right? But there's so many questions. Was Deco maybe going in towards the B bomb side? Molotov's going to confirm it. Deco doesn't realize that Ujers has left the bomb side, and now you can see the moment of realization. Does Deco catch it, though? Is he going to be patient enough? Smoke on top of the bomb side. He's trying to bait him out for a maneuver, but the smoke is actually going to open up more space for Ujers, and he's playing this one extremely patiently. He wants Deco to make the first move, and as the time is running down, this timer is going to be Deco's worst enemy. Smoke will secure the bomb plant, but with an open hand, Deco might have to get aggressive. He's gonna push through. Ujers is ready. Reads into it. A triple kill for the man. A 1 versus 2 clutch. And Saul pick up another one.
Nearly got out of hand there. Very quickly. You can see that shot was ridiculous there from Result.
This man is nasty, by the way.
Yeah.
The amount of pure skill that a teenager from the CAS region can have in his hands is just not fair.
Oh, they're producing them like they're nothing, alright. Producing rounds are Saw to try and claw their way back into this one and stop Aurora from building up really a monstrous T side that could become a little far out of reach. Story has been great, regardless of where he's been, towards B, towards mid, or even over towards that A bomb site. He's finding those frags and the impact. But this execute is going to be thrown in here now for Aurora. Saw might realise it, need to get that smoke down. Nori's already passed it, he's already beaten it, and Roman needs to try and hold on. They're actually going to swing past the smokes. They're taking a big risk here, Saw, but they know they're not really up on the site, and they need to hold on to it. Saw just have the sheer numbers there and are able to overpower Aurora.
Yeah, now that's more like it. Materius finding another Emotico here, and he's been playing a great series. Roman as well with the space in towards Cave. Might have been a little bit tricky there with the moment of him just running in without deploying a nade initially, but still, once again, as you pointed out, Story's been incredibly mobile. Finds an opening kill, Lucky gets denied presence towards middle. That's why you see them be a little bit desperate in towards that B-bomb side as well, is because they lose all their leverage in towards the middle part of the map, and Result was never really in a position to guarantee them anything with his A lurk. So starting to get a grip of this game, starting to make it a lot more competitive right now. We're starting to see the issues on that T side. Lucky's going to be the only one on the rifle in this round, Jack, but he's already low on HP. And let me correct myself, Kenzie's got 1 too, but he's already a dead man.
Yeah, had a rifle. Not
He
gonna
did.
be wielding it anymore. Deco. I mean, even if he finds a kill there, there was so many people that were just going to trade him out. And Aurora are going to be at least hoping to do some financial damage to Saw. That's all you're probably going to come away from. A bomb plant seems too far out of the question. Maybe 1 or 2 kills is probably going to be the height of it, if you're even that lucky.
Yeah. And it comes back to, I feel like a round like this comes back to the conversation that we could start having about the T side on Mirage. And the reason I say Mirage, I feel like the T sides on, or well, CT side actually, sorry. But Mirage and Ancient are really similar in the way that you need great coordination between the players coming out of Shelf and Elbow, right? If you want to take middle. It's pretty much the same analogy that you can make with Short in top mid. Or under in top mid when you're looking at the T side default of Mirage, right? You can see the angle I'm going with. So in that situation, when you're on the T side, it's incredibly hard to find anything in towards the B bomb side or, well, up towards Shelf or down middle when you don't have the same kind of support going in towards the other side of the map. And so far, the CTs have been doing a great job at least limiting the options of one of those avenues, right? Whether it's going to be Roman with his aggression in towards Cave, whether it will be just them allowing the Ts to have lane control, but then getting middle in the meantime. It has felt like Aurora on pretty rare occasions have been able to get both the presence in towards middle and elbow, and then to send a couple players up the lane position successfully.
Still want to try and contest middle, want to come away with a kill, and that's exactly what's happened. It's cost Lackey a lot of his health, but look at this. A-play happens, springing into action. I mean, Materius has already spotted a glimpse, maybe. He's screaming for the rotations of his teammates, and Norway is going to walk his way in. He's going to be blindsided completely. Went for a little double take, and that's what cost him.
They should be aware.
They should be, but they need to take him out of this position. Story misses a great opportunity to drop and regain that control, but they're just going to rush the plant. Bomb goes down, Materis burns up in the Molotov, but this is still all over the place. Aurora could be absolutely anywhere, and Deco, he's gotten that donut control back. Story, with this AWP, is going to have to do it all. He knows Result was close, might not want to even risk it. Does not have a kit in his possession right now. It all comes down to if he finds this kill, and a second missed shot in the round will mean that this one is done.
That was such a chaotic round there for a second, by the way. I mean, I love the readjustment, and that comes into the perfect moment as well. We were just having a discussion of how good of a job Soul were doing in denying that presence in towards middle and in towards the B lane, and we see the reaction, instant run. It's not even a walk, it's just a run out of aim from Aurora. So it is a great reaction from the Ts, but then it gets so scrappy. I mean, you look at middle. Again, Roman catching Kenzie off guard, Materis doing the same, or, yeah, it was Materis in towards Zona doing the same. Deco catching a timing that they were aware of, but still able to get a kill. Bomb plant somehow comes in, and if Materis is able to get that player off the bomb, this is an entirely different round, but, yeah, and if that wasn't enough of a crazy scenario, Deco was lurking in towards B the entire time. So, that's a bit of a resume of what happened in that previous round. All over the place, a little bit of massacre, a bit of chaos, but if we've been able to conclude one thing towards the end of this game, it is that there's 2 teams in the server, and one of them feels a lot more comfortable when there's chaos happening in the server, and that team is not from Portugal.
Getting that attack pause in. A little bit of a discussion. Get everybody in check to maybe recover this first half. Not too far gone, but it is still more competitive than you have hoped for. This time you do manage to hold on to that mid control, and Result is going to have no success early, but Aurora might want to spring into action over towards B. That's a perfect flashbang from Ujerks, and just Norway and Lackey caught in transition, trying to get away, blocked by the box, and put into one. A wooden one.
Yeah. This is massive right now from Soul, and the spam is coming in as well. They're all over Aurora right now. Ujerks finds one more on Deco. And that was the spam, by the way. Deck was playing in towards blue. So this round is just going from bad to worse right now. Aurora trying to abuse the extremities, but so this time, excuse the pun, saw it coming. They were completely prepared, and this is the time when if you're Kenzie or Result, you're starting to think about a save potentially. I mean, money is not great on the T side, and that might be an issue, but it's a 2 versus 5. You're not being given too many chances, even though you do have a 2 versus 2 technically in towards the B-bomb side, but you gotta hit some nasty shots, and Result's gonna give it a go. Fango from Roman's good enough for the first one, and Kenzie should be following the fate of all of his teammates so far. Any moment now, Peak comes in, it's too wide for Kenzie. Roman with another multi-kill so far this game. It's 8 and 6, but it's about the quality of the kills, Jack. It's not about the quantity of them.
Oh, and they were quality. You can see it here. Just so awkward. Lackey couldn't get away, and Norway's just kind of caught trying to hold for his mate. Beautiful spam.
Makes it even better that he flashed for himself, by the way. It wasn't a coordinated play from the team. Usually it's just decided, you know what? They will probably try and take some space in towards the B-bomb side. That's good communication, of course, but he's like, I'm gonna go for a play. I'm feeling it.
When you're feeling it, who is going to deny you? Not Aurora, anyway. Not that time out. A little bit of a set piece, maybe, brought in from the Aurora side. So
I mean, say that again. We're looking at Tech 9s and flashes and smokes and... Well, flash. One flash.
Singular flash.
Yeah, it has to be the perfect flash.
One flash to rule them all. Going over towards that B-bomb site, maybe. Bomb is going out towards middle, as that lurk smoke is going to make it a little bit difficult for Saw to really get a read on what's going on, but Mateus is hearing this rush every step of the way. Would liked a little bit more. The damage is going to help, yes, but in that position, he was hoping to maybe just spray them all down. Still though, Aurora are being cut apart.
Yeah, looking a lot cleaner than what Aurora were hoping for. Aristos with a nice double kill there to finish it off. It's triple for him in the round in total. It wasn't a bad set piece, to be fair. I mean, I like the plan. You make it look like, again, you're trying to fake some presence in towards middle to prepare yourself for a B-pop with the lurk smoke. Then you send a couple players up there, and indeed it was just a late mid walk in towards Donut. So I see a world where this one works out for Aurora. It's a cool round to have in the bag, but so really good with their reactions. And again, we're seeing a great game from the Assault Rifles. Ujerks, Roman, Aristos, Mateus when it matters the most. So 6-5 up, looking for 7, but Aurora once again contesting middle up against the ult.
This time, Story will prevail in the first fight. Jump Peak spotting him out. And, I mean, it's so risky sticking around, especially with Roman coming to save the day. But it's the A play from Aurora that cannot be stopped right now for Saul, but still, it's only 2 players in this round. It should be pretty easy to get a hold back on the bomb site. No bomb plant just yet, and the util's going to continue just to rain on in. You've spotted out Deco, you know exactly where he's going, and you will finish this first half with a flourish. A 7-5 lead going on to that T side. Is it going to be enough?
I mean, I can't say. I feel like this is a result that both teams are going to be happy with, but the conviction of Saul, the way that they were able to win those rounds towards the end, that was extremely comfortable. They started looking great. And let me remind you, this is the one that Aurora once again are able to save out of nowhere. On both Dust 2 and now on Engine, you can see a couple rounds on the D side where Aurora are not supposed to get away with it on paper, but they're able to, but still Saul has looked really solid so far on Engine. Now on the T side, of course, and we did put them, we did give them the title of being one of the most sound, tactically decided teams in the tier 2 space. They will have to put their money where our mouth is in that situation, sadly. Materius gets a 1-for-1 in towards middle. Bomb spotted. It is a B play, though, in the essence of it. And you just found Norway. That B bomb side is under control right now for the T's. Issue is, or the funny part is, the bomb is still in towards these bombs, so they gotta rotate as quickly as possible.
Man, Materius on these pistols. He's such a problem. And one that Aurora haven't really figured out at all. Result staring lifelessly into that smoke. And just waiting for Sweet Death to approach him.
I guess you either have to send the bomb towards the bomb side as quickly as possible, or just let Materius out unleashed in towards middle and wait for him to kill everybody. It's another triple for the IGL. A good start. We're back to pistol rounds going in favor of Soul Curse. For those of you that have missed out the first 2 maps, well, so did not really drop a pistol round until we got here, right? I'm not mistaken. And the first half one for Aurora was a fairly important one. And now if you want to go back in the context of it, imagine what happens if they don't pick up that pistol round. If they don't pick up the conversions, that could have been a really one-sided game so far for the Portuguese side. Result, we'll hold on to the Joe Berettas, to the armor. Do you really want to run a force right now, though? And this is a lot more difficult of a decision to make than the previous forces that we've seen so far from Aurora, right? Different circumstances. You're looking at the third and final map, a 5-8 deficit. You're on the CT side. You ideally want to get a comfortable economy at the start. And yeah, I feel like this is when you finally go a full-on eco here. You want to have the guns. You don't want to let Sol just run away with double digits for nothing.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too far gone at this stage. Result goes running in with those dualies, but they accomplish absolutely nothing. But maybe the start of the next round gets a little bit messy for Story, so there is a Galil on offer. Materis going to try and make sure that that stays out of the hands of the CTs. I don't think he's going to be able to stop that from happening. Luckily for him, Norway couldn't find it. Lost in the green somewhere. He will not be lost. He is soon found. And so will the round be for Saw. Materis racking up pistol and eco kills. A face of player's dream.
Yeah, you say a face of player's dream. A face of player's dream is getting some nice skins as well. So make sure you head over to Hellcase, participate in a giveaway, which, as you can see on the bottom left of your screen, is starting. It's today the 16th. It is the 16th, so it's already started. So you can go and sign up and win some nice skins over there. We're already trying to sign up for that CT side though, and it's one that you want to get in the VIP list fairly early on. As it's not looking great. Nice neutral damage in towards middle. The kill still goes in favor of ours though, and this is a big issue. They will try to re-aggress. Flash goes high, and Deku will fight back, but it's still 1-for-1 refrac. And again, the scale in towards the B-bomb side is happening, whether Aurora like it or not.
They're still going quite slow about this one. Deco just managing to get away. It's cost him a lot of his health points to try and hold on to that part of the map and take it back, so Saw just don't run away with this round. Luckily for Aurora, Saw decided not to go quickly in towards B. They slow it down. They want to regain pieces of the map first, but still, the sheer amount of damage should be enough.
Yeah, you're looking at the HP right now. Kenzie's on 39, Deku's on 29, Result on 54. You just gather up, you go for a straight up execute on one of the bomb sides with all the util that you have left, which actually, I just realized, it's not that much. They have just the smoke and a Molotov, so it might not be as easy, but they seem to have the right idea. Starting to walk in towards that A bomb site, smoke. It's not perfect, actually. I believe there is a gap for materials to work with, and all of the T's are just making their way in towards that A bomb side. So Result either goes absolutely nuclear here, all alone towards the back of the bomb side, or this will be a save. And even before I finish off my sentence, this round was already over. Materius walking out, wins that 1-versus-1. That should be a save for what's left from that Aurora team. And it's not much. Quite vital guns to hold on to, but Soul still making it up to double digits.
Yeah, and straight away, something that, of course, the desk were highlighting, the fact that if Lackey doesn't have a great game over towards middle, it could be a big problem, and we kind of see it there. because Lackey goes down. Now, it is only really the first engagement he's had, but that's going to do nothing for your confidence at all if Saw decide to abuse that part of the map. And, you know, we've seen that on Nuke, that Saw, once they find a weakness or they know that a weakness might be there, they're going to try and exploit it as much as possible. So Aurora are going to need to make that adjustment very, very quickly, or else this one really will be too far gone and you will not get it back in a hurry.
You know what's the biggest problem with this as well, right? The fact that they're already up on 10 rounds, and you're making a really valid point there. You could try and exploit it as much as possible, but now you're so close to closing out the game, you don't really need to make them lose middle on 2 or 3 different occasions, right? Just one time, you sending a lot of players on a buy round towards middle and dealing with Lucky is going to mean that they're going to be on a high alert from here on out, right? So you can start actually using that little bit of a factor of conditioning and switch up the approach, right? Try and hit the extremities, try and go for a quicker play towards A or B, and that's exactly what they're doing. It's a straight up A rush. Results all alone, finds the first one, but he's gone.
Deco has the rifle and he's the closest player to the action. Flash high, nade open the smoke. It's not really going to discover anything, but it is going to just take a little bit of space for the CTs. They'll be able to get onto the site, but Saw haven't moved the muscle. This is still terrifying right now. If you're on both sides, you don't know where these players could be lying. Aristo's in the heavens. It's going to be just taken out, jumping over. Kenzie, enough to deal and back away. He's happy enough with that
Big
frag.
time.
Not happy that Lackey has gone down for nothing. Eventually, when he picks, he's going to be taken out of the equation as well. And Deco has to be the showstopper that Aurora are after in this round. But they know exactly where he's coming from. Knows maybe one player's behind default. He's not giving him a peek at all. Trying to just close the distance here. He's done exactly that. Mutiris is not a problem, but Ujerks might be bomb tapped. And Ujerks not even going to go for a peek. He's heard the step. Deco's going to try and run him down. Doesn't have a kit, remember, so he needs to go extremely quickly to find his kill. Ujerks gets ahead of the play, and he is going to clutch up. That's your star player, he says. Well, he's gone, and the map might be as well.
Yeah, look at how calm he is as he clutches it up, right? No facial expression whatsoever. It's just another day in the office for you jerks, man. And, you know, he's on 13 and 8. We haven't been saying his name too much, even though he's been playing a great game. We've been focusing a little bit more towards Mutiris, towards Roman, the veterans of the team that have been playing great. But both you jerks and ours, though, is coming in huge in really impactful situations. And this is his strength, right? It's something that the analyst has brought in at the start of the game. Still have great players when it comes down to clutches, right? Extremely intelligent, extremely relaxed, and at this point, oh, didn't see him. They didn't see each other. Lucky's gonna get the kill. I was gonna say this is the most important round of the series so far, and Lucky starts it off with a nice opening.
Reactions here from Saw. They're going to sprint up onto the site. Roman looking to clear out this close angle, but Norway's still here and still kicking Saw while they are down. There's absolutely no way that Sorry gets in. Yeah, hold your horses there.
How is
A little bit
Norway alive?
messy. That's a good reason to why they give you a lot of bullets and a lot of the weapons. But
Right.
when you miss
That's
them
why
like
you
that,
play the PP Bison. Never run out of bullets. If
eventually
he had
they
a
would have
PP
connected on a
Bison,
few.
he would have won that fight.
They're there to use them. They're not just there for decoration, and a lot of them outputted. No
Say that to my good old friend, the sawed off.
No ammo conservation here at all. Money conservation though for the side of Saw as they lock in this eco. And the Deagle of Aristos already dealt with. This is Aurora's path just to get a little bit of confidence back. Rack up these pistol kills.
It feels like a breath of fresh air at this point. It's been such a high-intensity game so far, right? You get absolutely destroyed on map number 1, so I guess you couldn't really relax in there. Dust 2 was as close as it gets as well when towards the second half. You did have to come back into the game to close it out. This Ancient fight has been an uphill battle. We haven't seen too many rounds in which Aurora have been able to just relax a little bit, lay back, farm a couple eco kills, smile, and yeah, say that life is good, man. Look at how Kenzie's smiling on his profile picture. That's going to be his face at the end of this round as well. Of course, unless the Eagles and the Glock of Story treat us to a masterclass, but it shouldn't be happening. They shouldn't even be getting a bomb plant out of this. Result with another one. One Deeg not connecting. It is a clean round in the end of the day. So money looking good now for Aurora. For the first time in a while, they've had that financial insurance policy. They can afford to lose around in the context of their finances. They can't afford to lose around in the context of the game, though, Jack. 11-7, one round, and you're putting Saw on a map and match point, series point as well, sending you into an elimination game for you to play later on today. Of course, that's going to be against the loser of our second matchup of the day, which will start right after this one's over. Back to the swing of things, though, and back to middle we go.
Into spectator mode, will Lackey go? Just the nades landing on top of him and there's nothing he can do. They lose that part of the puzzle and they're gonna try and get aggressive now, man. Kenzie looking to find anything over towards B, but it's the spam through the smokes that are gonna prevail. Deco not seeing too much, but finding the kill, seeing his name light up that kill feed is going to be of some success. Ujax knows that the CTs might come searching, might come looking. Kenzie's going to be spotted on the fade. Norway might be here as well. And Ujax unable to deal with him, but Story just occupying this space the way up. And Norway, no idea, but he had a chance. And he did a lot of damage. Bomb is making its way over, but it's going to take a little while to get there. And Deco is going to have another chance to reel in this big fish.
Who of all people would you prefer to be in that position than Deco, the big star of the Aurora team? Signed up just a couple months ago from 1-1, and he's been playing spectacular Counter-Strike in all the tournaments they've been able to win so far. All the tournaments they've been able to qualify for as well. Deco has been spectacular, but this one needs to be special. Repositioning in towards middle, both his opponents low on HP, around that 50 mark, and he's got a kid to work with. Plenty of time. Misses materials though, and this could be huge. Story's gonna walk into him, not giving him any chance whatsoever. It's an instant execution from Story, and it's despair for Aurora. Money, they do have that. Chances, not too many.
No, not at all. Once again, man, it's over towards middle. This time, it's not even the gunplay. They know Lackey likes to play close, and they just dispatch of him with util. And you can see what that does to the defense of Aurora, right? It just crumbles all around them. They have to go and make these adjustments, and Saw just playing so reactively off absolutely every piece of information that they're getting, nearly to perfection. Flashes are good, and Deco is just forced away, forced out of the round. And the opening, once again, does not go Aurora's way.
Yeah, and what do you do right now? You need someone to take the initiative. You've been forced away from lane, from middle. Result is trying to push in towards the A extremities, but that fight in towards red is so important. Lackey needs to stay alive. He's gonna give it away. Kenzie, in the meantime, does find Roman, so they find somewhat of a response, but you don't really have the util to keep on holding on to that part of the map, and you've lost Result in towards A. So we're just finding gap after gap in that defense.
Lackey now trying to defend this A bomb site on his own. He's going to take a few steps, get a little bit closer. Teammate is going to be arriving soon, but Saw once again are not going to be peeking. And Aurora, Lackey might just push in. He's not going to clear that angle. Does he expect Norway though up close? And even if he does, Norway has to find pretty much all these kills on his own. This timing is incredible right now. Story still hasn't seen him. Norway can just play the trigger discipline all day long here. He can wait. He might find all the kills in play right now. One, two, going back for the third. Story now realizing that massive mistake he's made. This round is completely up in the air.
No way. No way. This is how they stay alive. Player from Donut falls down. Norway might have saved them. It has to be Story. 7 HP versus 72, and he's got no shot at it. A triple won't do it for Story. Kenzie saves the day with a triple, but it really is Norway, the hero of the Aurora side. The two star rifles of the team. The X-Forza, Eternal duo, they've been playing together for such a long time, for so many years, and they're the ones to step it up in that situation. And that's reset the T-side economy, by the way. That's opened up the door. I don't want to say massively, but it has made it a possibility for Aurora to come back into this and fight for OT.
A-Rush instantly stopped by the molly. Down to just the pistols. That was such an incredible play in that last round though, man. Just to realise that you have that timing. To know not to take the kill, even though you wanted to. You had your sights set on the first player for so long, but you knew that if you're gonna win this game, you needed to play for more. And it's big rounds like that that can change absolutely everything.
Nah, you know, it's great. The main issue with this, you still need to do it 4 more times. Well, let's say 3, because now they're on pistols. But yeah, that's the big problem with it. It's real intelligent play. It keeps them in the well, I was gonna say the tournament, not quite yet, but it keeps them in the winners bracket, let's say, or in the realms of possibilities of being in there. Still, a lot more work to be done.
Kenzie doing a lot of work with his AK. And that one, as clean as Aurora probably would have hoped for. Money isn't going to be an issue at all. Not just yet. Don't want to put that going in AWP. They actually, that's the one thing that they can't really afford right now. But they'll be happy enough with the rifles, especially when you look over at the buy of the T side. 3 Galils, 2 AKs in the mix. This is now looking like a faster round from Saw. They're looking to maybe pop over towards B.
It's a rush.
It's actually just going to be a straight up rush. They are coming with everything they have right now to take control of this site, and nobody from Aurora is here until he goes for the peak, but not expecting your jerks to be that close. But it's just the one he gets. Saw have the control, but it's just for now.
Yeah, bomb needs to be recovered by Materas ASAP. And they still have one player holding in towards the back of blue. He's just hoping to get away with a kill there. Aristos wins the fight. That's one that he needed. Lackey goes down. Kenzie's still in towards the cave, but now he needs to wait, be a little bit more patient so he can allow Result and Deku to get a little bit closer. Result will get that kill 100%. No, never mind. He falls down, nade in hand, caught off guard. Kenzie's the one man left. A 1 versus 2 clutch, and Aristos comes in from behind. It's a triple for Aristos, and so close it out. What a way to send Aurora in that elimination bracket, and what a result for the Portuguese.
Just such a great call from Saw there. They've been playing so slow, so methodical, you know, everything with such thought to it, and they say, you know what, we've got a little bit of a dodgy buy here, we don't have a lot of util, we can't, you know, throw it all over towards middle, let's just switch up the tempo and see if they're ready. And quite clearly Aurora were not. Just a fantastic recovery, especially after losing such a stinger of a round, really. Sure. But that's all I have to say about it, Ted. I'd love to hear what the desk have to say. If they agree, it's back to Sam and the guys.
Zephyr summed it up so nicely for me there. The concept of Saw, where they're playing in a very smart, slow, methodical way. They're calling really well. They're analyzing the situation. They're figuring it out. Yes, it's not as clean as I'd like, Yumi, but you can see when they make mistakes, they're learning from them and they're trying to improve, which is really good for them as we look forward to seeing them in the rest of the tournament, and obviously now sitting in the winners bracket, which is always a bonus.
Yeah, especially when their schedule wasn't as sort of tightly packed as it is with Aurora, where they're, you know, they're at an event, they're competing here, they've got a lot of online officials and LAN events coming up. You know, for these guys, it is just an endurance run, and for Seoul, you know, they came in a little bit drier. They actually have probably quite a lot more to prove in that regard, just to show that they understand how the mechanics of this new map pool are going to kind of favor them, or I guess work against them in certain elements as well.
I think even more so, just to sort of carry on from the narrative we earlier on talked about, that, hey, they got a coach. What are we talking about sort of in that situation as far as strategy is going to be concerned, right? So this is where I was really concerned about what we're going to have coming into Ancient and whatnot as well. Maybe not less because of the coach, but generally just because I've been having some question marks around Muterus and about, hey, what's going to be the next level. I think there was no doubts about Muterus at all, be it calling, be it individual play. Even on Dusty, when they had that little mini comeback going on, Muterus had some great calling all throughout this series, some really good stuff from Saul to him.
Roman as well for me, tea time, just a superstar throughout this series, did a fantastic job of performing, carrying his team, and ultimately getting them the win.
Yeah, I mean, Roman looked absolutely fantastic, and it's really surprising to see, considering this is a player who's had a lot of criticism levied over towards him, and always the justification that people who give is, well, you know, he's always good for a clutch or two. He wasn't good for a clutch or two. He was good for every single map this series.
Yeah, he was very consistent throughout, and you know, it was kind of a toss-up between him and Rosdosh to a certain degree, but I think the way that he was able to sort of play within that CT side for Seoul was just very oppressive. You know, Aurora could never feel comfortable in their positioning. I think the crunches that Seoul orchestrated with Roman on toe and swinging off of ledge actually just made things very uncomfortable when it came to that first half.
So Yumi, I don't want to have a bully gang against you, but it's going to come up now, because I mean, you said at the start of this that Saw should definitely not have allowed Ancient to get through. Why were you thinking that, and how were you proven wrong?
I think the problem that I had with Saw, if they picked into the Ancient, because I think this could have been a scenario where they think Aurora would float nuke, for example. I thought if they picked into Ancient, it would be a mistake, because this is actually a fairly contested map for, or actually a pretty solid map for Aurora. I think historically it's been good for them. I think just in terms of general form, you know, you're thinking about these raw aim duels. That's where I think Aurora actually succeed over Saw, you know, coming into the series. If Seoul picked it, that was the mistake. It wasn't that if they played the map that it would be some massive disadvantage. I just wasn't sure if they'd be able to exploit an Aurora that actually are getting a lot more reps in than Seoul are currently.
And I mean, to play Michael's advocate over here as well, from what we just saw in the head-to-head, one of the reasons why people doubt Saw and Ancient, including myself, is because you see Arizdosh and Yujir playing these anchor positions on A and B side. You're expecting them to not really be able to get that involved. And in my head, it's always the same thing. If Arizdosh and Yujir can't be the ones getting involved, if it has to be Roman and Muris and Story taking initiative, I'm going to see them losing more opening duels and not on their CT side. It wasn't the case at all over here. Yujir was actually getting quite aggressive even through that B side anchor, and you could see that he was still bringing in a lot more impact than classically I'm used to seeing him get. Sure, would have been nice to see Arizdosh a bit more involved as well, but you can't really blame him for that on the basis of his positions. T side was still fantastic for him.
T-Time, I mean, I liked how Saw played, but I do feel like we didn't see the Aurora we're used to in this series.
They looked slightly fatigued. It was almost like they hadn't quite come alive. Do you think that maybe the schedule we spoke about earlier, we always say, oh, lots of officials is good, but maybe in this case they're struggling a little bit?
I mean, look, there's one thing about fatigue and whatnot, but they were frankly playing 4v5 for a lot of that first half. Deco was basically missing any opportunity he had. He couldn't find any kills at all, and it really felt like all throughout this series, Deco has not been a factor. And I was expecting to say that about Story, right? I was thinking, I'm going to go into this, I'm going to talk about how Story's a roll-upper. He's got some all-right numbers, middle of the scoreboard, but to see Deco bottom out like this, I'm really surprised.
Yeah, I think the discrepancy here is that, you know, when they actually ended up with very similar sort of kill counts. I don't think either Alper showed their best form, but we saw better rounds, and actually rounds where Story was able to have impact that caused his team to win. I think that was the main discernment between these two Alpers on the squad, because I think neither of them really showed a massively impressive game on that weapon, but Deco, yeah, his absence was felt in those impact moments.
So we've seen our first two teams here in Group A. Of course, both of them are still in the competition. One drops into the losers bracket and the other continues in the winners bracket. It was Saw taking the victory, the Portuguese team. And coming up next, we have Eternal Fire up against Paravision. Overall, though, if you take a look at this group, is it fair to say that there is one specific team, Yumi, that we're thinking is possibly the weakest point here? Because I would say Paravision is the one that most people would say, okay, they're out.
Yeah, I think that is the most obvious one, just because they haven't had good form on some of their online officials. I think they're obviously undergoing a bit of roster instability as well. That, and I think the in-game leadership on Paravision hasn't continued to develop like others have.
T-Time, for you, who's the favorite in this group?
I mean, the favorite over here has to be Saw, right? The team that I just... Not, of course, it's Eternal Fire. It does seem like they're a team that might be not really able to re-achieve the heights that they found during the major, but at the very least, Eternal Fire have really proven that they are a very consistent top 14, top 13 team in the world, if nothing else, and I would be very surprised if we don't see them just come through and sort of smoke this group. And even if they do end up faltering, even if they do end up having a hiccup, I can't see them being eliminated.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that particular matchup a little later, because it is the one that is coming up next. But now, when we see Saw and Aurora, we've obviously seen a chance to see them play in this. How important is it for them, T-Time, would you say, for this particular tournament to get a deep run in it?
I mean, it's incredibly important for Aurora, especially. I do feel like this team is 2 steps away from a major roster move. We've seen this core players coming through since 2023, well, end of 2022, and it has been the Norby, Kenzie, Lackey show that's been taking it forward. And here's the issue, right? If consistently you are having decent performances at online tournaments, if you're having decent performances at tier 2 lands, then you're always wondering, well, maybe we shouldn't scrap this, maybe we shouldn't rehaul this. You're not making a major. Right, you're not making a Pro League, you're not making a Cologne, and this is a tournament that you have a chance to prove that you can still do something, that you can still compete with the best, but you're falling to Saw over here, looking pretty piss poor doing it as well. Aurora are going to have a lot of pressure in this event for them.
They're definitely going to be feeling it, Yumi. And now when we take a look at the tournament overall, obviously we've got the group stages. That's what's going to be running up until Monday next week. We've got some cool teams in the mix. And you know what? I was actually going to ask you, Yumi, which ones you're most excited about. But then I realized that everyone needs to get some refreshments because we're going into the next matchup. So I'm actually going to let us have a break so we can do just that. And when we get back, you can answer that question for me.
The world is changing, but one thing remains the same. Victories with 1xbet.
And how long have you been here?
From early morning.
Take notes, kids.
Hey, was that a bite? Will you share?
Hellcase, don't miss your luck.
Pick and live. Make your choice. Play bigger and get your prize.
Welcome back to the CCT Global Finals, and we're moving into game number 2 of Group A. I was going to ask Yumi about which team he's most looking forward to seeing during the Global Finals, but I know the answer. He's so excited about this particular matchup specifically. This is what he really wanted to see, Yumi. It was Eternal Fire versus Paravision. I'm right?
You are actually right. I think that's kind of crazy that you were able to predict that ahead of time, because I hadn't even made up my mind yet, but you've revealed that to me now.
I'm like a wizard. But that is actually the matchup you're going to see. And it's kind of, it's the old trope. We're going to go into it. The David versus Goliath. Because at the end of the day, this is a lineup, this is a matchup, Yumi, that is very much in its